Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 1. Now let's start the fanfic. Well, a snide voice said. The group turned to see nearly 100 bandits on the bridge. Many of them were sporting fresh cuts and stab wounds. There was one with a huge slash on his face. In the front was a short man. He was responsible for the depression of Wave. Finally the kingpin, Gato, appeared. His fine clothes were ripped in multiple places and he had a deep cut in his face. The man inspected the bridge with an uncaring eye. His eyes widened when he saw all three of his hired ninjas slain, lying in a pool of blood. He let out a small gasp when he saw Ketsu's body split head to toe in half. He then gave a grin. Good job on eliminating my ninjas. They wanted a high paycheck. At least I don't have to pay so much. Bandits are so much cheaper and effective in large groups. I know they are good fighters though, so I bet 100 bandits will be enough to wipe out a group of tired ninjas, Gato said. There was some truth in the statement. Anko, Shino, Shikamaru, and Haku were too weak to fight. However, Zabuza and Naruto were able to fight. Zabuza was still able to fight because he still had a majority of his chakra left. Naruto's massive reserves were barely tapped. Hey Gato! A voice shouted out. An arrow flew above the ninjas and landed at Gato's feet. Gato and his army along with the ninjas turned to see who it was. It was Inari. He wore a wide and confident smile. Behind him were all the village men in Wave. Everyone was carrying some sort of weapon. Naruto saw oars, hatchets, pitchforks, knives, clubs, staffs, and an amazing variety of weapons. He snickered when he saw one belligerent old man wave his walking stick at the bandits. Gato gulped. This was not supposed to happen. He turned to his bandits. Kill them all. I'll let you have the wealth and women in the village for yourselves, Gato shouted. The bandits charged, eager for plunder, and slaves charged eagerly. What can untrained villagers do against an army of bandits? Naruto stood up and drew his sword. Nay, Zabuza. What brat? Zabuza asked. First one to Gato gets a bottle of sake. Whoever's the least number of bandits has to walk around for a whole day. You in? Naruto said. Zabuza grinned. I hope you're ready to walk around. The morning winds get very chilly, if you know what I mean. Naruto grinned. The two settled into a kenjutsu stance. When the first bandit was 20 feet from them, they charged. After the mission, Shino could only describe the battle between the bandit and the two swordsmen as a massacre. Naruto and Zabuza tore through the mob like how a shark attacks a group of seals. The bandits had no chance at all. Geysers of blood flew in the air, painting the bridge in blood. Screams of pain attracted crows and ravens to a feast. Limbs were sliced off, throats cut open, skulls cleaved open, and organs spilled out as Naruto and Zabuza swung and stabbed with their swords, brutally destroying the bandits. Naruto stabbed the last bandit in the chest. He grunted as he ripped his sword from the man's chest. He looked at Zabuza, who was leaning on his sword. How many? 50 bandits, Zabuza grunted. 50 also, Naruto said. Zabuza and Naruto turned to Gato. Gato was trembling in fear. His army first numbering 200 but lost 100 to ninja clones in the forest. Then these two demons decimated the rest brutally. Naruto and Zabuza charged. Gato began running for his life. He wasn't fast enough though. Naruto and Zabuza easily caught up to him and sliced him into 3 pieces. Naruto and Zabuza inspected their work. A mass of bodies was piled high on the bridge, lying in a veritable pond of blood. Shit. It's a tie again, Naruto said. You know what this means, brat, Zabuza said. Janken Pon. The two shouted. Zabuza got rock while Naruto had paper. I win. In your face. Naruto shouted while dancing. You lucky son of a bleep ing bleep 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 bleep. Zabuza bellowed. Naruto grinned and gave him the victory sign. The villagers and the ninjas' sweat dropped at the immaturity of the two vicious warriors. How can such merciless warriors bicker like children? Inari was shocked at the bloodshed but began shouting in happiness. What are you shouting about? A man asked. Don't you see? Without Gato, Wave is free. Inari shouted with joy. The realization struck the villagers. All of them began shouting in joy. They began throwing objects and hats in the air. Many began hugging and dancing. More than one person shed tears of joy. Team 7, Zabuza, and Haku watched the villagers. Moments such as these make all the horrors of a ninja worth it. Anko and Haku cried a bit in happiness. Shino was bawling in happiness as Naruto, Zabuza and Shikamaru smiled widely. The ninjas were soon carried on the shoulders of the villagers back to Wave. For 3 days, the villagers celebrated. Zabuza and Naruto along with a group of villagers raided the bandits' camp and Gato's storehouses. They brought the food and money they found to spread among the villagers. In the 3 days, they celebrated by finishing construction of the bridge and cleaning it of the bodies. Naruto collected Katsu's and Yasu's head for the bounty. While Naruto carried Yasu's corpse to dump in a pile, a scroll fell out. Naruto used the blood from Yasu to open it. His eyes widened. It was the summoning contract for bears. Naruto opened it to look to see who signed it. After Yasu, there was another name he did not recognize. Next to it was the name Akamichi. Several names with the name Akamichi also signed it. Naruto stored the scroll in one of his storage scrolls. It rightfully belonged to the Akamichis. Anyway, he already signed the Toad contract along with 2 other contracts in his travels. He didn't need any more. The villagers burned the corpses in a bonfire and carried on celebrating. During that time Anko, Tazuna, and Zabuza got drunk multiple times. Shikamaru and Shino celebrated with the villagers. Haku and Naruto had the time of their lives. One morning, Naruto asked if he could talk with Zabuza and Anko in private. They were curious but agreed. They met in Tazuna's kitchen. So brat, what's up? Zabuza asked. After this trip is over, I want to know if you want to stop being missing ninjas and start a new life in Konoha, Naruto said. Zabuza was curious. Even if we did, do you think the Hokage will let us join Konoha? I'm an S-class nin and former Miss Junin. What reason would they have for letting me join? You would be a great addition among Konoha. You are a former member of the 7 Swordsmen and a master at silencing, Kenjutsu, and Suiten Jutsus. Haku also possesses a bloodline and a powerful one at that. If that isn't enough, I can persuade several council members, Naruto explained. How? Anko asked. Naruto smirked. He opened his storage scroll and retrieved the bear summoning contract. Anko gasped. That isn't a summoning contract, is it? Anko asked. Naruto nodded. Look at the names. Anko opened it. Akamichi. Yep. I can also persuade Shikamaru and Shino to persuade their fathers to vote for Zabuza. Also, once you fill out your report Anko, the council will see how powerful I am and want to be on my good side, Naruto said. Anko and Zabuza shook their heads. The impossible seemed to be likely if Naruto tried it. Zabuza grinned. Well brat, where would Haku and I live? You could stay at my place until you get settled, Naruto said. Well, I'm going to ask Haku, Zabuza said. He left to find Haku. Anko and Naruto winced when a ear-splitting squeal reached their ears. Zabuza came back, a bit cross-eyed and wiggling his ear. She says yes. Thanks, I couldn't tell, Anko said sarcastically. Zabuza glared at her. Anko-sensei, you should send a letter to the Hokage before we leave, Naruto suggested. And how do we do that? Anko asked. Naruto smirked. He bit his thumb and made several hand seals. He then slapped his hand on the ground. Summoning jutsu. A cloud of smoke appeared. The smoke cleared up to reveal a large raven the size of a dog. On its back was a round tube with the kanji speed. The raven bowed to Naruto. Hello Naruto-sama, might I inquire the reason you summoned me? The raven asked in a polite voice. I need a letter delivered as fast as possible to the Hokage of Konoha. It is of great importance to me. Can you do it, Yuru? Yuru nodded. I am honored that you chose me to deliver this letter. I shall deliver it to the best of my ability. Anko did not bother trying to deny the existence of a raven contract. She quickly wrote the letter and gave it to Naruto. Naruto placed the letter in the tube and closed it. May the winds bless your trip, Naruto said to Yuru. And the stars guide you well, Yuru replied. Yuru spread his wings and flew off with amazing speed. In less than a second, Yuru couldn't be seen. Naruto turned to see Anko and Zabuza staring. What? Is there anything you can't do? Zabuza asked. Anko nodded. I can't fold my tongue, Naruto admitted. Zabuza and Anko sweat dropped. The next day everyone was gathered at the bridge. They wanted to say goodbye to the ninjas that saved their country. Inari struggled not to cry as he said goodbye. The villagers had gathered enough money from Gato's storehouses to pay for the mission and give each ninja a bonus that was equal to an S-rank mission pay while still having enough to rebuild Wave. Naruto patted Inari's head. Hey, make sure you grow big and strong so you can protect this village. With us gone, I'm counting on you. Alright Inari. Inari nodded, struggling no to cry. Okay Naruto-Nisan. I promise to protect every person in Wave. Naruto grinned. That's my little bro. Inari beamed and waved goodbye to the ninjas as they left. I forgot to name this bridge, Tazuna said, causing many villagers to sweat drop. Oh I know. The pride of great builder Tazuna. The path of Sake. Tsunami slapped her father. We are not naming this bridge after Sake. Tsunami said sternly. How about the Great Naruto Bridge? Inari said. Many of the villagers nodded. It was a great name. The Great Naruto Bridge. The villagers shouted. They cheered and christened the bridge with a bottle of sake. The trip to Konoha was uneventful. The group took their time traveling. The Genins and Haku trained constantly. They also made drastic improvements under the rigorous training of Zabuza and Anko. Naruto now had a formidable arsenal of Suiten jutsus. Shino was proficient enough with his chain to take on Zabuza and wound Zabuza at full strength. Shikamaru was extremely stealthy and was able to consistently catch Anko in his shadow imitation jutsu before she noticed. Haku became faster and able to hold her mirrors longer while performing a various number of Suiten, Futen, and Hyouten jutsus. When they got to Konoha, an Anbu captain and his team escorted the group to the Hokage Tower. The Hokage dismissed the Anbu ninjas, in order to speak with the group privately. When the Anbu left, the Hokage picked up a sheet of paper. Naruto recognized it as Anko's letter. Well, it looks like you had a very exciting mission. Instead of a simple C-class mission, it turned into a high A-rank mission. Defeating two mist Chunins, allying with a former member of the Seven Swordsmen and his apprentice, bringing down one of the richest people in the world, liberating the country of Wave, and slaying two A-ranked Junins and an S-ranked Kagaya. I must say, I am deeply impressed, the Hokage said, pride evident in his voice. Team 7 smiled. Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. The Hokage turned to Zabuza and Haku. I understand that you two want to be Konoha nins. Why? To put it simply, I'm tired of running and being chased by hunter nins constantly. I also did not want Haku to spend such life when she has done nothing wrong, Zabuza said. The Hokage nodded. Well, after hearing your reasons and reading Anko's report, you and Haku will be inducted as Konoha Nins after a 6-month probationary period. If you are judged trustworthy, you will become Konoha Nins with all the privileges and rights as one trained here. Zabuza and Haku nodded. The Hokage dismissed all of them. Wait a second, Hokage-sama. Everyone turned to see Naruto reach into his coat. He pulled out a cylinder. It looked like a sword handle without the sword. Naruto reverently handed it to the Hokage. The Hokage's eyes widened. Naruto, is this? Yes, the personal sword of the Nadaime Hokage, the Thunder Spirit Blade, Naruto said. The Hokage channeled chakra into the handle. A blade, crackling with energy, appeared. The Hokage stopped channeling chakra and watched as the blade vanished. Thank you, Naruto. It is a relief that a relic from one of our greatest heroes have been returned to Konoha. Naruto bowed and left with his team. As soon as they left the Hokage tower, Naruto asked Shikamaru a question. Hey Shikamaru, do you know where the Akamichi clan house is? Shikamaru nodded. Yeah, the Akamite clan house is right near the Nara clan house. I can show it to you right now. Naruto followed Shikamaru to the Akamichi clan house. The Akamichi clan house was a humble house, big but not showy, and exuded a sense of comfort and safety. Shikamaru knocked on the door. Hello. A large man answered the door. He had shaggy red hair and wore armor with kanji for it on it. Despite his warrior-like appearance, he had a gentle face. He looked down and smiled. Hi Shikamaru, if you're looking for Choji, he's with his team right now, the man said. Shikamaru shook his head. Actually, I was showing Naruto where the Akamichi clan house was. I assume he has something to tell or give you. Naruto decided to speak up. Akamichi-san, has your family ever had a summoning contract? It's Shuza, and yes, we did. However, my grandfather's contract was stolen by an Iwa nin during the Third Great Ninja War, Shuza asked, confused. What animal was it with? Naruto asked. Shikamaru was confused. What was going on? The bears. Why are you asking these questions, Naruto? Shuza asked. Just a test to see if this really belonged to the Akamichis, Shuza, Naruto said with a grin. He pulled out a storage scroll and retrieved the bear summoning contract. He handed the large scroll to Shuza. Shuza opened it and his eyes widened. Where did you get this? Shuza asked. An Iwa nin by the name of Yazu held it. I was lucky enough to find it in one of the storage scrolls Yazu had on his person. Shuza smiled widely. This calls for a meal. Come inside. Shuza literally pushed the 2 genins inside his house. He thanked the genins by giving them huge amounts of food inside scrolls. Naruto thanked Shuza. Now he wouldn't have to buy food and save up for now. Shuza merely grinned and said that Naruto is a friend of the Akamichi family and can always come back for a free meal. Shikamaru headed home mumbling about sleeping in a bed. Naruto just shook his head at the lazy Nara. He headed to the training fields to find Kakashi's team training. Sasuke was preparing to launch a Kaden jutsu, but the sight of Naruto made him so angry that Sasuke overloaded the jutsu with chakra and it exploded in his face. He fell backwards from the blast but quickly got back onto his feet. You! Sasuke yelled, pointing as Naruto. Kakashi looked up from his book and saw Sasuke angrily pointing at someone. He looked on in curiosity. Looks like the mere sight of Naruto pushed Sasuke to the edge. Kakashi-sensei. That's the person who ambushed Sasuke-kun before one of our missions, Sakura said. Kakashi was even more interested. So he's the person that managed to knock Sasuke and Sakura in the hospital for several days. Look Sasuke, I have no interest in fighting with you every time I see you. Do you remember our last fight? Naruto asked. He took several steps closer until he was 5 feet away from him. Do you remember my warning? Sasuke flushed in anger. He made several hand seals. Kakashi's eye widened. He made to intercept the jutsu, but Sasuke released it before Kakashi could stop it. Kaden. Fire Dragon Flame Missile. A huge flame came from Sasuke's mouth and hit point blank at Naruto. Kakashi knew he was in deep shit. His pupil deliberately to fellow shinobi. The same shinobi was a favorite of the Hokage. He hoped he would at least be a Tokubetsu Junin at the end of this fiasco. Kakashi noticed something. There was no scream or groan of pain. He looked closely at Naruto. Naruto was still in flames, but it was as if the flames did not hurt him. Naruto grabbed a piece of fire from his shoulder and ate it. Kakashi's eye bulged. That was simply against the laws of this world, yet Naruto was calmly eating fire off of his body. Naruto soon ate all the fire off and belched a small bit of smoke. Sasuke, use your brain. I showed you in our last encounter that fire doesn't work against me, yet you still used a Kaden jutsu against me, Naruto said. Naruto turned to see Kakashi staring at him. Copycat ninja, Kakashi of the Sharingan. Renowned in the ninja world for copying and mastering over 1,000 jutsus, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded. Also suffers from being chronically late, creates bad excuses, and reads smut 24/7. Kakashi glared indignantly. He read smut 2355/7. You must be Naruto. The Hokage told me of your genin exam. He said you were a prodigy amongst prodigies. Sasuke glared angrily. I must gain more power. Once I get the Sharingan, I will become more powerful than Naruto. Then Itachi. Sasuke thought. Naruto looked around. Where's Kiba? He's working with his mother learning and improving clan jutsus, Kakashi said. Naruto looked at the Sasuke. Sasuke was glaring at him. Naruto sighed. Kakashi-san, will you be the referee for a fight between Sasuke and I? Naruto asked politely. Kakashi looked at Sasuke. He was itching for a fight. Kakashi sighed. It would be better to let Naruto to spar with Sasuke. Sasuke's ego has been getting too big. The match will have no rules other than knowing or permanent injuries, Kakashi announced. Will the two combatants come here? Sasuke and Naruto stood 10 feet apart with Kakashi between them. Begin. Kakashi jumped out of the way as Sasuke sent several kunais and shurikens at Naruto. Naruto plucked them out of the air and sent them back at Sasuke. Sasuke dodged them and engaged Naruto in a taijutsu match. Tekai. Naruto grunted. His muscles expanded and compacted as chakra went through the muscles, making them as hard as steel. Naruto stood still as Sasuke kicked and punched him at a rapid rate that soon slowed down. Naruto smirked as Sasuke realized that none of his attacks were affecting Naruto. Naruto pushed Sasuke off of him. As Sasuke stumbled back, Naruto channeled chakra to his legs and kicked out in Sasuke's direction. Ranyaku. A chakra blade flew out and slammed into Sasuke. Sasuke lost consciousness almost instantly. Naruto gave Sasuke a disdainful look. Kakashi, tell him if he ever wants a chance to match me, he must have something to fight for. Naruto left, ignoring a screaming Sakura. He went over to Shino's house for a decent spar. Naruto knocked on the door to the Aburame clan house. The door opened to reveal Shibi Aburame, Shino's father. Naruto bowed. Good afternoon, Aburame-san. May I speak to Shino? Shibi said nothing but gestured to Naruto to follow him. Shibi led Naruto to the Aburame training field where Shino was sparring against another Aburame. The Aburame Shino was fighting was hard-pressed to defend himself against Shino's bugs, Shino's fire jutsus, and his chain. Soon, Shino's chain wrapped against his opponent's leg. Shino tugged hard and swung him hard. The Aburame was slammed against a training post and knocked out. Shibi lightly applauded his son's skill. The Aburame Shino had faced was one of the top shunins in the Aburame clan. For Shino to defeat him as a genin showed Shino's potential to be the greatest Aburame. Naruto ran up to Shino and slapped him on the back. Way to go, Shino. You want to spar with me next? Shino nodded. Both of them took their positions and waited. Shibi was curious to see how this would turn out. He had heard rumors from many of the Junins that this Naruto managed to lead Shino and Shikamaru in a plan that allowed them to pass Enko's nearly impossible test. Since then, they have displayed exemplary teamwork and have gained the reputation as the rookie team of the generation. Under Naruto's advice, Shino diversified his abilities to not only include clan jutsu but also weapons, ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu and combined them together. It has only been 3 months but Shino was able to take down a Junin with the help of Shikamaru and Naruto. Naruto moved first. He drew and thrust his sword at Shino in one fluid movement. Itoryu. Cannon. A large orb much faster than Naruto's bullet slammed into Shino. Shino exploded into bugs. The bugs then flew toward Naruto seeking to drain his chakra. Ninpu. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto made 5 clones to block the bugs while Naruto searched for Shino. Naruto grinned when he spotted a flash of white in the bug cloud. Metsujutsu. Chakra Wave. Naruto swung his sword into a section of the bug cloud. Shino was knocked out of the cloud by a blade of chakra. Shino quickly made hand seals and blew. Kaden. Heat Wave. Shino blew for a 5 seconds. When he finished, he disappeared back into the bug cloud. Naruto frowned. Thanks to the Shino's jutsu, any Fuden jutsus will be off target due to the displacement in air pressure. Naruto had an idea and made several hand seals. Suiden. Ice Fog. A chilling mist surrounded the field. It countered with Shino's heat wave causing the air to be extremely moist. Ninpu. Chakra Pulse. Naruto sent a small pulse of chakra to find Shino. Gotcha. Naruto made a long series of seals. Suiden. Water Dragon. A humongous water dragon formed from the water vapor in the air and slammed into Shino, soaking him to the bone. His bugs cannot fly when wet and he was unable to stand. Naruto held out a hand and helped him up. Great spar, Shino. You almost had me there several times, Naruto said. Shino nodded. The two turned to see Shibi clapping loudly. Wonderful match. I must say, I now believe that the Aburame clan must start to diversify. Our bugs are useful tools but we must also not rely on one trump card to win a battle, Shibi said to Shino. Well, see you, Shino. Naruto said. He left and went to his apartment. He opened the door to see Haku walking in a towel. Naruto quickly closed the door, counted to 10, and went back in. Welcome home, Naruto-kun. Zabuza is walking around Konoha at the moment. I hope he does not get lost. He has a terrible sense of direction, Haku said. Meanwhile, Zabuza was muttering to himself trying to find a store to buy sake. Let's see. The guy said to go north for a block and then west for 2 blocks. North is always coldest and west is my left side. Quote. Needless to say, with that kind of directional skills, Zabuza was hopelessly lost. Back at the apartment, Naruto arranged the furniture so that Haku had her own room while he shared one with Zabuza. Naruto went down to a nearby furniture store with Haku to pick up stuff for the apartment. They bought a dresser for Haku and Zabuza, 2 small tables, 2 futons, 2 armchairs, and collapsible boxes for storage. The apartment was a little crowded but cozy. Naruto was going to enjoy living with Haku and Zabuza. Naruto filled the refrigerator with the food Shuza had given him. There were several pounds of meat, lots of fruits and vegetables, flour, rice, and milk. Naruto was surprised to find spices included. With this food, Naruto made some donburi gyudon rice, stir-fried vegetables, and beef, and mixed fruit for dessert. Since Zabuza was hopelessly lost around Konoha, Haku and Naruto had a pleasant dinner all to themselves. They soon went to sleep waiting for Zabuza. Meanwhile, Zabuza was pissed. He had wound up in the gay district of Konoha multiple times and was tired of being chased by gay drunks. He turned around a corner to see receive full blast that god-awful genjutsu. Lee. Guy-sensei. What the bleep is wrong with this village? The next morning, Naruto went out to meet his team. He left Haku note to tell her where he was. On his way he found Zabuza in an alley. He was lying in the fetal position crying. Oi Zabuza. You okay? Naruto. Zabuza started crying on relief. Thank Kami. I got lost and wound up in the gay district and had to run away. I went around the corner to see two freaks in spandex shouting and hugging. Then this scene appeared. It was horrible. Horrible I tell you. Naruto slapped the slightly hysterical man. Snap out of it. Zabuza became his normal self again. Zabuza listen. Go straight down this road for 7 blocks. Then take a right and walk for 2 blocks. On the left side there is an apartment complex. Our room is 726. Haku is still asleep. I left some of last night's dinner in the kitchen. Zabuza nodded. Those directions were simple enough. He began walking to the apartment. Naruto sighed. Why are there no normal ninjas? Naruto met his team at Training Ground 26. After meeting with their sensei, they completed 10 D rank missions in record time. They also completed 2 C rank missions simultaneously. They went back to Training Ground 26 before being dismissed. At Training Ground 26, Anko gave each of them a slip of paper. Anko-sensei, what are these? Shikamaru asked. These are tickets for you to compete in the Chunin exams. The Chunin exams? Shino asked. Aren't we a little too unprepared to take it? Anko laughed. You're joking. This team is more ready for the exam than any other in Konoha. Team 7 spent the next month and a half before the Chunin exams juggling training, C rank missions, and the 2 low B rank missions, and strategizing. The training was intense as Anko placed Shikamaru and Shino in extreme situations such as in a pit with giant snakes wearing 100-pound weights on their limbs. Naruto often sparred with Haku, Zabuza, and Anko at the same time without his sword or ninjutsu. Anko also taught them several useful genjutsus. Shikamaru and Shino also trained with their fathers in clan jutsus. Thanks to their fathers, Shikamaru and Shino learned more advanced and deadly jutsus. Due to the complete success of the mission to Wave, the Hokage granted Team 7 the privilege of C-rank missions and some low B-rank missions, despite some of the council's protests that Sasuke should also gain this privilege. However, the protests stopped when time after time, Team 7 performed the missions flawlessly and in record time. So far the mission count Team 7 had done was 29 D rank, 17 C rank, 3 B rank, and 1 A rank. Anko was truly proud of her team. They kicked. Their teamwork was perfect. They knew their jobs and roles in the team. Shino was the tracker, scout, and support in the group. Shikamaru was the stealth, strategizing, capturing expert in the group. Naruto was the leader and the primary assault expert in the group. Team 7 with Shino's logic, Shikamaru's strategy, and Naruto's leadership, they were among the likely candidates to pass the Chunin exams. The week before the exam, Anko had the team to scout out the local competition. Shino and Shikamaru often did this by stealth. Since they were trained by a stealth specialist, the two often were undiscovered unless if a Junin detected them. The two collected info from the teams of rain, mist, grass, and sound. None of them were a serious threat to Team 7. Naruto visited the Konoha teams and also the San Genins. Amongst the Konoha teams, his amiable nature and goodwill earned him the trust of some Leaf teams. Others were distrustful of Naruto and sometimes attacked him. When that did happen, Naruto often defeated them easily and intimidating them out of the exams. Naruto found out that all the rookies were taking the Chunin exams. Team 8, Kurenai's team consisted of Hinata, Ino, and Choji. The three worked well together as a tracking and capture alive team. Team 10, Kakashi's team were the exact opposite. It was a mostly assault team with Sakura as support. However, their teamwork was extremely bad as Kiba was alienated by his other two teammates. Naruto met the Sand team quite by accident. It began with him strolling down the street looking for his teammates. However, he saw a group of children run afoul of two Sand genins, a girl and a guy. Naruto recognized one of the children as Konohamaru, grandson of the Hokage. He decided to step in when one of the genins picked Konohamaru up in a hostile manner. Naruto switched places with Konohamaru and punched the genin in the face. The genin fell down with a bloody nose. His teammate began to reach for a large fan on her back but froze when Naruto instantly had his katana pointing at her throat. You know, if you're visiting a foreign village, you should attract as little attention as possible. Thrashing the Hokage's grandson just because he accidentally bumped into you is definitely asking for trouble, Naruto drawled. He watched as the girl glared at her teammate who paled under his thick face paint. Naruto smelled the air and detected a ninja smelling of dust and blood hiding in a tree. Whoever you are, come out. I can smell you in the tree nearby, Naruto called out. The ninja who was hiding came out. He was shorter than Naruto, had red hair, and a large gourd on his back. It was his eyes that stood out the most though. They were dead-looking but glinted as if the ninja was hiding something. Naruto noticed out of the corner of his eye that the two genins he met were pale white and sweating like crazy. Shut up before you, Gaara said almost without concern. Naruto saw the paint start to dribble by the huge amount of sweat coming down the painted genin's face. Gaara turned back to Naruto. My apologies for my teammates. They have been eager to compete. Much too eager. Naruto sheathed his katana. No problem. Here's a tip. Don't attract too much attention. That way, you'll have a better chance in the exams. Gaara nodded. Thank you for this advice. I'll be looking for you in the exam. Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said. Gaara nodded. Until next time. Kankuro. Tamari. Let's go. Naruto watched the Sand genins go. He felt something familiar when he was talking to Gaara. Something familiar and dangerous. Naruto shrugged. He turned to see the three children that had bumped into the Sand genin. They were looking at him with adoring eyes. You're so cool, Nissan, they said in unison. Naruto's sweat dropped. Thanks, but who are you? I know Konohamaru by the old man but not you two squirts, Naruto said. The girl in the group spoke up first. My name's Moegi. And I'm Udon, the kid in the glasses said. My name's Naruto Uzumaki. Pleased to meet you, Naruto said. Can you teach us to be strong? Konohamaru asked. Naruto grunted in disbelief. Please, Nissan, Moegi asked. All three were making the puppy eyes, pouting look. Damn, Naruto thought. I still can't resist that look. Do you want to be strong? Naruto asked. The three nodded eagerly. The three tilted their heads in confusion. Why Naruto Nissan? Konohamaru asked. Anime and manga. Planting pranks takes stealth. Outrunning them takes strength and stamina. Having such a number caught in prank at the same time takes cunning. These three things are the abilities a ninja must have to be the best, Naruto explained. Now when you are able to do that 3 times in a row, that tells me you will be ready to be taught the secrets of the ninja. The children nodded. When we do, you'll teach us, right? Naruto grinned. I'll teach you my favorite moves if you're able to, guys. What are we waiting for? Konohamaru shouted. Moegi, get some eggs and flour. Udon, get some string, scissors, and nails. I'll get some rulers and stuff. Let's meet at Ojiazan's office in 2 hours. Udon and Moegi nodded. They bolted, eager start. Naruto chuckled as they ran as fast as their little legs could carry them. He chuckled, knowing he released a scourge on the ninjas of Konoha. You do know it'll be years before they complete the task, Kyuubi said. If they still persevere through all the failures, I'll know if they have the willpower to keep striving to be the best even in times of darkness and pain, Naruto responded. Kyuubi was impressed by Naruto's answer. He was right. Even the weakest ninja can defeat a prodigy if they were determined enough. As the week ended, Team 7 was fully prepared for the Chunin exam. They knew the most of the competition's ability and prowess and were confident that they could beat them. Each of them were relatively well balanced in taijutsu, genjutsu, and ninjutsu. Naruto admitted that Gaara was the only that worried him. They made a note to avoid the Sand team as long as possible. Anko told them the details and time of the test. When she finished, she had final words to say. I want you to be careful. Listen to Naruto as he is experienced enough to lead you. Naruto, listen to Shino's and Shikamaru's advice as they are smart enough to avoid useless battles and accidents. There is a high chance of death in these exams, so don't goof off, Anko warned. I also want to say I am proud of all of you. You are known as the strongest Genin team in Konoha and deserve it. It is likely you'll return as Chunins and soon Junins. I hope you pass and make yourselves, me, your family, and Konoha proud, Anko said, her eyes watery. She gave them a group hug. Oh wait, we need to get a picture before you go. Anko exclaimed. She pulled out a camera and made a shadow clone. The shadow clone took the camera and held it up. Now get a bit closer. That's good. Now everyone get ready. 1, 2, 3. Say sushi. The Anko clone said. Sushi. Everyone said. Afterwards, the picture turned out great. Shino and Shikamaru flanked Naruto while Anko was behind them. Naruto and Anko had huge grins on their faces while Shino and Shikamaru had smaller smiles. Behind the group were several trees and the Hokage monument being illuminated by the sunset. Now, report to room 301 in the Academy building at 9 o'clock sharp. Good luck, Anko said. The Genins headed to their homes. Naruto went straight back to the apartment. He opened it to see Haku cooking dinner and Zabuza drinking sake. Anime and manga. Hello Naruto-kun. I'm making yakitori and gyoza. Does that sound good to you? Haku said. Yeah, that does sound good, Naruto said. Naruto placed some plates and chopsticks on the table and patiently waited for dinner. So brat, do you think you're ready? Zabuza asked. Naruto nodded. Zabuza grinned. Good. Now I want to see you pass. I can't have my sparring partner to always be a genin. At least as a chunin, you won't be thought of as a mama's boy who needs his mama to guide him in missions. Zabuza smirked as Naruto glared at him. Haku smiled a bit and served dinner. The dinner was delicious. They ate a small quiet dinner together, everyone enjoying the first dinner they had together in a month. After dinner, everyone went to bed. As Naruto came back from the bathroom, he saw Haku in his futon. Haku, what are you doing in my futon? Naruto asked. Haku pouted. I wanted to sleep in the same futon with you. Naruto sighed. You do know Zabuza shares the same room as me. Haku shook her head. Not anymore. I convinced Zabuza to switch rooms with him. Naruto sighed, knowing he wasn't going to win this conversation. He lifted the covers of the futon to reveal Haku wearing only a Naruto's t-shirt and panties. Naruto nearly had a nosebleed. Naruto laid in his futon and blushed as Haku hugged him tightly. Make sure you come back, Naruto. I wouldn't know what to do if you died, Haku whispered. Naruto turned to face her. I promise I will not die. I come back, stronger than before. Naruto and Haku closed the distances between their faces. They kissed passionately and lovingly. Haku hugged Naruto fiercely as they made out. It was a first kiss for both of them and it shared sparks of pleasure throughout their bodies. It was heaven for both of them. Naruto waited at the academy for his teammates. He had to put a henge on his face because he had a stupid smile on his face all morning. No matter what he did, he couldn't stop smiling. Shino and Shikamaru soon arrived. They greeted Naruto but noticed something wrong with him. Naruto Taicho, is something wrong? Shino asked. No, why? Because I am detecting a huge amount of pheromones from you and from somebody else, Shino said. Shikamaru made a hand seal. Kai. Naruto's henge fell off and revealed a widely smiling Naruto. Shikamaru smirked. So, mind telling us how you lost your? Shikamaru asked. Nothing happened last night. Just drop it. Naruto bellowed, blushing furiously. Shino and Shikamaru nodded, not believing Naruto. The academy was full of genins waiting to take the test. Team 7 walked around and saw a fighting on. Naruto went to have a look. He saw the weirdo Miname on the ground with a bruise on his face. His teammate was on the ground beside him. They were looking at two genins guarding the testing room center. Please let us in, the Miname said. We just want to take the Chunin exams. One of the genins laughed. If you can't stand up to us, you aren't going to survive the exams. We've taken it 3 times and still haven't passed it. You're better off leaving if don't think you're up to it. That's right, but you will let me through and remove the genjutsu on the door, an arrogant voice said. Naruto slapped his face. That idiotic Uchiha. Sasuke strutted up with his team to the two genins. The genins smirked. So you saw through the genjutsu The door revealed to be a section of the wall. The genin launched a swift kick at Sasuke. Sasuke lifted his leg to intercept the kick with one of his own. Several things happened in a blink of an eye. The Miname came between the two and grabbed their legs with his hands. Behind Sasuke and the other genin, Shino and Naruto had a kunai at their throats. Sasuke, I sometimes wonder why the council favors you. Didn't you see if you kept quiet about the genjutsu, you would have noticed it cut down on competition, Naruto scolded. Sasuke smirked at Naruto. The black eyes gave way to the Sharingan with 2 tomos in each eye. Now that I have these eyes, I'll be able to become much more powerful than you can dream, Sasuke gloated. Naruto rolled his eyes. Sasuke, until you know the meaning of hard work, you will never beat me. Only those who work the hardest will become great. Shino signaled to Shino to release his hostage. Naruto glared at the genin. What are you doing here, Kotetsu? Get back to the Hokage's office, Naruto snapped. Kotetsu grimaced but left along with the other genin. Naruto was about to walk away when he someone tapped his shoulder. He turned to see a Hyuga with long black hair looking at him. Can I help you? Naruto asked. Anime and manga. What is your name? The Hyuga asked. Naruto smirked. I'll tell you if you introduce yourself, Naruto answered back cheekily. Neji Hyuga, the Hyuga said. Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you, Naruto said. The Miname went up to him and struck a pose. I am Rock Lee, student of the Taijutsu master Maida Guy. Naruto glared at Lee. I have a problem with you and your sensei, Naruto growled. Shino, Shikamaru, Neji, and his teammate were surprised that Naruto had a problem with Lee and Guy. What is it? Lee asked, hoping to fix the problem. Both of you use that goddamn genjutsu whenever you're hugging. You're a menace to society. My roommate was traumatized by the sight of your genjutsu. And he's an elite Junin. Naruto bellowed. Everyone's sweat dropped. Naruto calmed himself down. I needed to get that out. Team 7 left the stunned group and went inside the testing center. The room was filled with genins from around the land. Naruto noticed with satisfaction that Team 7 had information for 95 of the genins. He let Shino and Shikamaru talk with their old classmates and friends. He went out to make a quick trip to the bathroom. As he did, he spotted Lee and Sasuke fighting. Lee was thoroughly thrashing the Uchiha. Lee kicked Sasuke in the chin, causing Sasuke to fly. Lee disappeared and reappeared behind Sasuke. Naruto recognized that move and realized the match is going too far. He jumped in the air at near Junin speeds, grabbed both genins' necks, and slammed them hard against the floor. Enough, Naruto demanded. Lee, what were you doing? It's much too early to waste energy doing that move. Save it. What would Guy think if he saw you doing that move for no good reason? Lee started to weep. You're right, Naruto-san. Guy-sensei would be ashamed of me. I shall do 5,001 armed push-ups to discipline myself. Why don't you just go to the testing center? The exam will start in several minutes, Naruto suggested. Lee nodded and ran to the testing center at a breakneck speed. Naruto turned his attention to Sasuke. Naruto applied more pressure to his neck. You know, Sasuke, you might want to follow Lee before I cause you to miss the test because of injury. Naruto let Sasuke go. Sasuke glared at Naruto but followed Lee into the testing center. His team followed Sasuke. Sakura was glaring while Kiba was giving him the thumbs up. Naruto headed toward the testing center to see Sasuke talking with a Konoha genin named Kabuto. That's no fun. You know their names, Kabuto said. He pulled out 4 cards. First up, Rock Lee. He's a year older than you are and completed 20D rank and 11C rank mission. He's a taijutsu specialist but lacks greatly in ninjutsu and genjutsu. However, his taijutsu skill is beyond Chunin and possibly Junin. Next 3 are Konoha's Team 7. They are Shikamaru Nara, Shino Aburame, and Naruto Uzumaki. They are in your graduating class but have extremely impressive stats. They have completed 29D rank, 17C rank, 3B rank, and 1A rank missions. They are a well-rounded team with no real weakness in taijutsu, ninjutsu, or genjutsu. Although Shino and Shikamaru have their clan jutsus, they diversified and covered their weakness. The leader Naruto is definitely beyond Junin's skill. He excels in ninjutsu and kenjutsu and has defeated an S-rank missing nin named Katsu. Naruto had enough. He grabbed Kabuto's pack of cards and threw them to Shino. Burn them. Shino easily burned the cards to ashes. However, the damage was done. Team 7 was identified as the most powerful team in the room. Nearly all the genins were observing Naruto, Shino, or Shikamaru for any weaknesses. Naruto's temper snapped. He jumped up on a desk and released control of Kyuubi's chakra for a full minute. The effects were instantaneous. Everyone in the room was gasping as the suffocating demonic chakra drained the will to live from the body. The amount Naruto was releasing was greater than Akage's. Gaara was holding his head in pain as a voice screamed in terror. Everyone was on the ground. Some genins were suffering from seizures. Many were asphyxiating from their lungs not working. Naruto reigned in control of the demonic chakra. Now go mind your own goddamned business. He jumped down and checked Shino and Shikamaru. They were a bit winded but were going to be fine. All over the room, the strongest genins were helping their teammates up. Soon only the strongest were conscious, which was around 17 teams. Everyone else was knocked out. A large smoke cloud appeared. Hey worthless bastards. Everyone turned to see a large group of Chunins and Junins appear in the front of the room. The lead spoke. I'm Ibiki Morino, the lead examiner for the first part of the Chunin exam. Ibiki looked around and pointed at Naruto. Anime and manga. You there? Control yourself before we fail you right where you stand. Naruto nodded. He threw Ibiki a book. My apologies, Ibiki-san. I hope this book will be an acceptable conciliatory gift. Ibiki caught it and looked at it. His eyes widened. Most of the male examiners crowded around Ibiki. When they heard Ibiki say the title, Ica Harem Nights, the unedited version with pictures, Ibiki opened the book. A poster opened itself and exposed its contents to the examiners. Nearly all of them had a jet of blood fly out from their nose. A female examiner had enough. She took the book from Ibiki and hid it from the males. She then proceeded to slap Ibiki. Ibiki flushed at being caught off guard at that book. All right, you little bastards, the first part will be a paper test. You will be spread out randomly to take it. Naruto immediately studied the paper. The first thing Naruto noticed was that many of the questions were nearly impossible without a high amount of book knowledge and math skills. Also, there was a note on the bottom corner about a 10th question. Naruto looked at Shino and Shikamaru. He caught Shino's and Shikamaru's eyes. Naruto made a few covert hand seals and whispered, telepathy technique. Shino, Shikamaru, don't speak. I want you to sit up if you can hear me. Naruto thought. Both genins sat up. Good. Shino, I want you to use your bugs to collect answers from the other genins. Shika, you and me will just hang tight until Shino hands me the answers. Now only think, don't speak. Got it. Hi Naruto Taicho, Shino and Shikamaru thought. Naruto waited patiently as Shino collected the answers. So Naruto, what happened last night? Shikamaru thought. Shut up, pervert. Shino was able to quickly get all the answers. Shino relayed them to Naruto. Naruto relayed them to Shikamaru. In less than 10 minutes, Team 7 got all the answers to the test. All around them, there were genins failing left and right. Many of the Konoha rookies were able to get their answers quickly. Sasuke and Kiba used their unique abilities to get the answers. Sakura got her answers fairly. Ino possessed Sakura, memorized her answers and wrote them down. She also possessed Shoji and wrote the answers on his paper. Hinata and Neji used their Byakugans to copy answers. Lee and his teammate used mirrors to convey answers. Gaara used his abilities to cheat off of a genin. Team 7 still had 35 minutes when they finished before the 10th question was revealed. Team 7 played 20 questions until the Ibiki spoke again. In a Junin break room, Kurenai, Kakashi, and Anko were waiting for the first exam to end. Man, it's boring without the genins, Anko moaned. You'll see them soon enough. I heard that Ibiki is the examiner for the first exam, Kakashi said to Anko. Anko grinned. Maybe your team but not mine, Kakashi. My team will definitely pass. Wait a minute, Anko. What are you talking about? Kurenai asked. Kakashi looked at Kurenai. You're just a new Junin. Among the Junins, Ibiki has a reputation for his skill as an interrogator. While most interrogators use either pain or psychology to make their prisoners talk, Ibiki has mastered the ability to do both, Kakashi explained. He's one of the most effective interrogators in Konoha's history. In other countries, he's labeled an A- class nin but has a nickname, Ibiki the Sadist, Anyo added in. As all of you know already, the 10th question will be revealed now. However, this question is an all or nothing question. However, if you answer incorrectly, you will fail automatically, and be forbidden to take the Chunin exams in Konoha ever again, Ibiki said. He let out subtling intent during his speech and increased it dramatically at the end. Every genin felt it and became extremely nervous except a few. However, you can choose no to take it. If you choose not to take it, you and your team will automatically fail but will be permitted to participate in any future Chunin exams in Konoha. At once there was an uproar among the genins. Silence. Ibiki roared. The genins silenced almost immediately. Now if anyone doesn't want to answer the 10th question, raise your hand. The examiners will escort you and your team out, Ibiki said. Naruto looked around. A large number of genins were leaving. He also noticed Sakura's hand start to go up. Shika. Stop her. I want to fight Sasuke in the finals, Naruto ordered. Shikamaru stopped her using shadow imitation jutsu. Naruto grinned. He knew Sasuke and Kiba were sure as hell not going to quit. Naruto took another glance around. All the rookie teams were staying in. Lee's and Gaara's team were staying also. Naruto grinned. All the strong teams were staying. Naruto looked back to the front. After everyone who had chosen not to take the test left, Ibiki spoke. Now that all the weaklings are gone, you all pass, Ibiki announced. Everyone was surprised. What? A mist genin asked. Sakura stood up. Then what was the first 9 questions for? This was a test of your intelligence gathering skills. I made the rules to put pressure on you as if this was a mission, Ibiki explained. What about the 10th one? Kiba asked. It was a test of your fortitude. The painful choice I had given you is a reality to Chunin's every mission of lives. These choices based on the info you have collected are in every mission you will ever undertake, Ibiki said. Now you have made it through the first part of the exam. I wish you luck on the next part, Ibiki said. Suddenly, a large man fell through the roof. A very familiar man. Zabuza, Naruto said loudly. Zabuza grinned from under his mask. Nice to see you too, brat. Now I'm Zabuza Momochi, the examiner for the second exam, Zabuza said. You bastard traitor, a mist genin growled out. A kunai stabbed beside his hand, deeply into the table. The mist genin looked to see Naruto with his hand still in a throwing position. Watch who you're insulting. Next time I'll aim at your head, Naruto growled. Zabuza cleared his throat. 20 teams. Now, get in you teams and follow me to the second exam. Naruto made a quick note on the bottom of his exam and hurried after his team. He joined Shino and Shikamaru as everyone exited the room. Ibiki gathered the test papers. He picked up Naruto's and saw an interesting note. Ibiki-san. There is a genin by the name of Kabuto. He is dressed up like a leaf genin but has information about each genin that only a spy should have. I suspect he is a Chunin or Junin disguised as a genin in order to spy against the village for something big. Ibiki chuckled. The Hokage was right about this one and his team. While everyone had between 2 through 4 mistakes, Team 7 had made a total mistake of 1. They were experts and truly skilled. Only a Junin or High Chunin could pass the test with only a mistake. Zabuza led the remaining genins to a large forest surrounded by a fence. This is where the second exam will take. This area is called Practice Arena 44. Also known as the Forest of Death. Naruto examined the forest and grinned. He nudged Shino and Shikamaru. Home sweet home, guys. Naruto said. The other two nodded. Anko had dumped them here several times as survival training. She also sent several huge snakes after Shino and Shikamaru. They trained and explored in the forest so much that they practically knew the forest like the back of their hands. Zabuza pulled out a map. The forest is a complete circle. In the middle is a tower. However, in the forest live some of Konoha's deadliest creatures. In addition to that, there will be enemy ninjas fighting for these. Zabuza held up 2 scrolls. One was white with the kanji, heaven, and the other is black with the kanji, earth. Each team is given one of these scrolls. In order to pass this exam, a ninja team must have both of these and bring them to the tower. 9 of these teams will get a heaven scroll and 9 teams will get the earth scroll. You will not open these at all. You have 5 days to complete the exam, Zabuza explained. At maximum, there will be 9 teams remaining. However, as each day passes, the chance of battling one of the weak teams becomes less and less. The goal will become harder and harder. Enemy ninjas will constantly be around you. Also, there are some rules. You have it make to the tower in 5 days with both scrolls with a full team. None of your teammates can be dead. Also, there is no quitting in the middle of the exam. Everybody competing will be in the forest for 5 days, Zabuza explained. Now, before we hand out the scrolls, you will sign a waiver absolving Konoha for your death if you die during this exam. When you do sign the forms, head to where the Chunins are waiting. After you hand in the waivers, you will be handed a scroll and be assigned to a gate around the forest. After an hour, the second exam will start, Zabuza said. Everyone was given one of the waivers. When Team 7 received theirs, they signed it without a second thought. They gave it to a Chunin who gave Naruto an Earth Scroll. Naruto grinned. This is going to be fun. Naruto said eagerly. The Chunin that gave Naruto the scroll sweat dropped. He heard about Team 7. Apparently some of Anko's personality rubbed off on her students. Team 7 went to talk with some of the other teams. Shikamaru visited Team 8. Shino went to talk with Lee's team. Naruto went to visit Gaara's team. Hello Gaara, Naruto greeted. Gaara looked at Naruto walking calmly toward him. Kankuro and Tamari looked at Naruto as if he was crazy. Uzumaki, Gaara said, my mother wants your blood. Well, tell your mother my blood doesn't taste so good, Naruto retorted. Gaara grinned maniacally. I will enjoy my battle with you, Uzumaki. Naruto brushed past Gaara. And so will I, my fellow Jinchuriki. Naruto met his teammates at the assigned gates. A Chunin was there waiting for them. 3, 2, 1. The second exam starts now. Zabuza announced. Every Chunin opened the gate for the Genins. The Genins rushed out, eager to fight. One team, a grass team, had a different objective. The leader of the Genin team chuckled. Ku, Sasuke, you soon will mine, the Genin chuckled. He licked his lips with an abnormally long tongue. Shino, Shikamaru, and Naruto jumped in the trees and immediately went to a clearing. As soon as they landed, Naruto gave out orders. Shino, take Shikamaru with you and scout the area. If you see other Genin teams, ambush them and steal their scroll as well as their supplies unless if they are not Leaf teams. Also take a shadow clone with you. It will not engage in combat unless the two of you are in trouble. If you are, the clone will dispel itself alerting me. I will head to the tower with 50 shadow clones and set traps around the tower. After 3 hours, meet back here. Understand? Shino and Shikamaru nodded. Naruto made 51 shadow clones. One went with Shino and Shikamaru. The others went with Naruto. Naruto and his 50 clones headed to the tower. They met 3 Genin teams but easily defeated them. Naruto was able to collect 2 Earth and a Heaven Scroll. When they got to the tower, Naruto and his clones made a mile-long perimeter around the tower. They filled the traps with explosive notes, kunais, shurikens, stakes, and acid. Anyone who wanted to get to the tower had to go through a square mile of extremely deadly traps. Naruto smirked as he heard an explosion and screams. He went to check it out. A mist team was severely injured by a 4-corner explosion trap Naruto had set up. One of the Genins was already dead while the other 2 were on their way. Naruto stabbed both Genins to spare them of the pain. Naruto then searched the mist Genin's pockets. He retrieved another Heaven Scroll and more ninja equipment. Naruto dispelled all of his clones and went back to meet his team at the clearing. As he did, he saw Kiba going head to head with a gigantic snake. Kiba and Akamaru were dead tired. They watched in resignation as the snake reared back for another strike. Kiba threw Akamaru out of the way as the snake struck. Kiba closed his eyes for the inevitable pain. After an eternity, Kiba opened his eyes. Naruto was sitting by him, Akamaru was in his arm, sleeping. The snake was dead, its head cut off. Hey Kiba, what's up? Naruto said cheerfully. What are you doing here? Kiba asked. The question is, what are you doing here? I was on a scouting run for Sasuke when this snake appeared. Akamaru and I tried to it, but the snake was too strong and fast. Sasuke and the snake carcass behind them exploded into a cloud of smoke. Naruto's eyes widened. Only one other person has snake summons instead of Anko, Naruto thought. Kiba, bring me to Sasuke and Sakura right now. Naruto ordered. Kiba nodded. He led Naruto to where Sasuke and a grass nin were fighting. Sasuke had already tied the genin to the tree and burned him. Sasuke turned to see Naruto with Kiba. Sasuke's anger clouded his better judgment. He leapt at Naruto with a kunai in hand. Naruto's eyes widened, not because of Sasuke, but the genin behind Sasuke. Naruto drew his sword, batted Sasuke away, and slashed at the genin. The sword sliced the genin's face into ribbons. Naruto knew this genin was not a genin. Orochimaru, what are you doing here? Naruto growled. Team 10 was confused. The grass nin chuckled. Ku. Naruto. I plan give Sasuke a little gift, Orochimaru chuckled. His eyes widened when Naruto charged. Naruto released all of his weight seals and charged at Orochimaru at cage speeds. Naruto became a yellow blur to Team 10's eyes. He swung at Orochimaru, putting a sizable amount of chakra into his sword. Metsujutsu. Chakra wave. A huge chakra blade flew out at Orochimaru at breakneck speed. Orochimaru dodged only to jump straight into Naruto. Kazakenjutsu. Typhoon thrust. Naruto stabbed his into Orochimaru's shoulder. Orochimaru had no time to react and felt Naruto's blade stab through his shoulder. In addition to the stab wound, the chakra in the sword began revolving around the blade. It was like a drill that was growing larger and larger. Orochimaru screamed as the chakra ate away at his flesh. He jumped away but had a huge hole in his shoulder. Orochimaru knew he had to escape. He summoned a large snake at Naruto. The snake attacked Naruto. Naruto needed a moment to the snake, but that was all Orochimaru needed. Orochimaru stretched out his neck and bit Sasuke on his neck, implanting the cursed seal of heaven. Shit. Naruto cursed. He channeled chakra into his sword as Orochimaru was reeling his head back. Hokenjutsu. Screaming Hawk. Naruto swung his sword. 3 large fireballs in the shape of a hawk flew at Orochimaru at a high speed. The hawks whistled loudly as they flew toward Orochimaru. One barely missed while the other 2 clipped Orochimaru. However, the fireballs exploded on contact, so Orochimaru was severely burned. Orochimaru made a quick hand seal and retreated. Damned brat. Just as his family. Extremely powerful but will never dream of helping me with my dream. Damn the Namakazes and Uzumakis. Orochimaru thought. Naruto searched the surrounding area for any sign of Orochimaru. When he was satisfied, he reactivated his weight and he signaled to Kiba, who was standing on a nearby branch watching the battle. Kiba jumped to where Naruto was standing. You need something, sir? Kiba asked. He was awed by Naruto's strength and didn't want to be on his bad side. Kiba, where's the pink bitch? Naruto asked. Over by Sasuke, trying to help him. After Orochimaru bit him, Sasuke began screaming and fell into a coma. Sakura is over by Sasuke, trying to heal his wounds and wake him up, Kiba reported. Get Sasuke and follow me to my team's camp. Tell Sakura to keep up or I'll leave her behind, Naruto ordered. Kiba nodded. He went over to Sasuke and picked him up, fireman style. Let's go, Sakura. Naruto offered to help us until Cheapshit wakes up. Sasuke-kun is not a cheapshit. Sakura screeched. Naruto appeared behind her and knocked her out. He heaved her on his shoulder. Banshee bitch. Naruto muttered. He looked at Kiba, who was grinning at Naruto. She is indeed a banshee bitch, right Akamaru? Kiba said. Akamaru barked a bit. Kiba was chuckling. Naruto stared at Kiba, confused. Akamaru said that calling her a bitch would be an insult against canines everywhere, Kiba explained. Naruto grinned. Keep up. Naruto and Kiba traveled at a fast pace in the trees for 15 minutes straight. They landed in a clearing where Shino and Shikamaru had already set up camp. They saluted Naruto when he arrived. Hey Naruto. Shino and I scouted the area. There were several genin teams, most of them were of the leaf. We did ambush a rain team, a grass team, and 2 mist teams. We stripped them of their equipment and weapons. We accumulated so much stuff that we had to seal it into scrolls like you showed us, Shikamaru reported. Which skulls did you get? Naruto asked. 2 heaven scrolls and 2 earth scroll. Naruto grinned. On my way to set up traps, I ambushed 3 genin teams. When I finished setting the traps, one team set off one of my booby traps. They died and I retrieved their scroll. As of now, we have 9 scrolls between us, 4 heaven scrolls and 5 earth scrolls. Hey Kiba, what scroll you have? Naruto asked. A heaven one, Kiba answered puzzled. Give bitch boy an earth scroll, Naruto said with a smirk on his face. Oi, Kiba shouted but really didn't care. Shikamaru tossed Kiba an earth scroll. Kiba was ecstatic. Team 10 would be able to go to the 3rd exam. Yahoo Akamaru. We'll be able to enter the 3rd exam, Kiba said excitedly. Shino clapped a hand to Kiba's mouth. Silence before you attract any attention here. Kiba settled down. Naruto grinned and began to set up camp. Shino, Kiba, and Shikamaru helped him. Naruto made a fire while Shikamaru distributed food from the stolen equipment. Kiba set up some tents while Shino examined Sasuke. Abarames were excellent herb healers as their bugs know which plants are the best for healing. After an hour, Sakura woke up. Where am I? She asked to herself. She sat up and saw Kiba eating along with Team 7. She saw Sasuke on the ground next to her, knocked out. Her brain deleted the part where Naruto kicked Sasuke's and Orochimaru, so she automatically thought it was Naruto that knocked out Sasuke. Naruto. What the hell did you do to my Sasuke-kun? Sakura screeched. Team 7 plus Kiba and Akamaru winced at the shrillness and sheer volume of Sakura's voice. Naruto Taicho. It might be best to keep her knocked out until the 3rd exam, Shino commented. Shika. What do you think? I agree with Shino, Naruto Taicho, Shikamaru said lazily. Naruto nodded. As Sakura was about to screech again, Naruto picked up one of the Senbons stolen from a rain genin. He threw it at a pressure point that knocked her out immediately. There. That'll keep her quiet for 10 hours. Enough to get a good night's sleep and complete the exam, Naruto said happily. Everyone nodded. Kiba ate his food in silence. He was happy that Team 7 acknowledged him and treated him like an equal. He also felt sad that he was much weaker than all of them and felt useless. Akamaru whined as he felt sadness waft from his master. Naruto noticed this. What's up, Kiba? It's nothing for you to get worried about, Kiba said quickly. Team 7 looked at each other, then they all shook their heads. Don't worry, Kiba. Tell us, Naruto encouraged. Akamaru barked in agreement. Kiba looked at the concerned faces of Team 7 and sighed. It's that, all of you guys are extremely skilled. Not only that, but you also are really close. You guys are everything I envisioned as a ninja of the leaf, Kiba admitted. Naruto blushed and rubbed the back of his head, smiling. Shikamaru gave a small smile while the bugs around Shino became more frenzied. When I joined Team 10, I thought I would gain close friends. However, those 2 knocked out have been isolating and demeaning me since the formation of Team 10. Kakashi has been trying to help me out, but he was under direct orders from the council to train Sasuke exclusively. Kakashi sneaked several scrolls of training guides, tactics, and jutsus, but without a sensei, I can't get the jutsus right, Kiba said sadly. He looked up when he heard Naruto laughing. What's so funny? Kiba asked angrily. Kiba, I'm laughing because that solution is easily solved. Team 10 has 2 excellent combat senseis. If you want to learn, I'm sure that they'll teach you. However, both of them are a little extreme, Naruto explained. A little extreme? Are you kidding, Naruto? She dumped Shino and I into a pit with 100 pounds strapped on us and threw in 10 tigers. She also covered us in fresh rabbit blood and blew on a tube that imitated a rabbit dying. Do you remember that, Shino? Shino nodded. She also hired several Junins to try to assassinate us during a party too. Kiba's sweat dropped as he heard the training methods implemented on Team 7. That's nothing. Zabuza strapped 500 pounds on each leg and left me in the middle of town that said, "Need to find my springtime of youth," Naruto recounted. I swear, I was forced to take that damn genjutsu full blast 4 times. Took me a week to recover from that. Kiba grinned as he heard funny stories and memories from Team 7. For the first time since being a ninja, he felt happy. It was soon time to sleep. Naruto placed several shadow clones around as sentries. Team 7 along with Kiba went inside the tents while some Naruto clones hid Sasuke and Sakura in thorny underbrush with skunk-smelling ointment to repel ninjas or wild animals. Team 7 and Kiba woke up refreshed and ready to finish the exam. They packed up the tent and a couple Naruto clones dragged Sakura and Sasuke out of the underbrush. Naruto made the clones carry Sasuke and Sakura as he didn't want to touch either of them himself. Just as they finished cleaning the clearing, a sound team appeared. The leader, a hunched-back mummy, pointed at Sasuke. You there? Drop Sasuke and your scroll. If you comply, we'll let you go uninjured. However, if you don't comply, we won't hesitate to use force, the mummy spoke. His other 2 team members drew their weapons. Naruto turned to his clones. Drop them. They happily dumped them unceremoniously on the ground. Hey Kiba, follow my lead, Naruto whispered. Kiba nodded as he drew out a kunai. Shino, Shika, Naruto called. The 2 charged the sound team at high Chunin speed. Shino wrapped the mummy in his chain while Shikamaru trapped the other 2 genins in his shadow. Kiba, the other genins, all handle the leader. Naruto ordered. Kiba leapt into the air. He made several hand seals and began to spin in the air. Piercing fang. Kiba turned into a gray drill and mauled the 2 genins. The male was ripped to pieces while the female was cut up but knocked out. Naruto quickly the leader with a stab to the head. Naruto examined Kiba's work. Good job. You didn't the female though. However, it's fine. I wanted to ask her a couple questions. Kiba, patch her up and carry her. Kiba nodded. Suddenly, everyone felt a large pulse of extremely foul chakra behind them. They turned to see Sasuke standing, his Sharingan on and his face was covered in flame-like patterns. On Sasuke's face was a maniacal grin. Around Sasuke was a column of swirling purple chakra. Sasuke turned to see Naruto. He chuckled. Naruto, can you see that your power dwarfs compared to mine? You shall feel the strength of Konoha's mighty clan, the Uchihas. Sasuke roared. Now die. Sasuke charged Naruto. Naruto sent out a pulse of his chakra. What? Sasuke yelled. His sight was going haywire. One eye kept fast-forwarding to future and rewind 10 seconds in the past while the other eye did the same thing in reverse motion. As a result, he couldn't see what was going on in the present. Naruto grabbed Sasuke by the back of his neck and easily lifted Sasuke. Naruto then proceeded to slam Sasuke's head violently into the ground until Sasuke was unconscious. Naruto tossed Sasuke's limp body to a clone. I hate that bloodline, Naruto muttered. Shikamaru, and Kiba were surprised how easily Naruto defeated Sasuke, even when Sasuke was powered up by some foul chakra. Alright, let's head to the tower, Naruto ordered. Also follow me carefully. I know where my traps are. Don't worry about the time. We still have 3 days. Team 7 and Kiba made good time to the tower. As they went through the area where Naruto laid his traps, they saw several people dead or injured. Team 7 ignored the pleas for help and kept going. Kiba was about to speak but Naruto beat him. Kiba, there is no place for the weak and stupid in the world of the shinobi. It's harsh but it is the greatest law in our world, Naruto said grimly. Kiba nodded. They arrived in the tower where they saw a large poster. Shikamaru was the first to figure it out. In short, the poem says a ninja must be smart and strong in order to be great, Shikamaru said. Do you think we should open the scrolls now? Kiba asked. It would appear so. We have brought them to the tower in less than 5 days, Shino said. They opened all 5 pairs of scrolls. The scrolls began to smoke and make a loud bang. From out of the smoke, 5 Junins and Chunins appeared. 2 days all of the Junins and Chunins began. They were surprised to see more than one examiner. Hey, wasn't there supposed to be one? One of the Chunins asked. A Junin recognized the Genin team and smirked. Normally yes, but then again, it was Team 7 accompanied by an injured Team 10 and a captive that opened the skulls. Excuse me, but is that all there is to the second exam? Naruto asked. The Junin nodded. Yep. You still have 3 days. However, there are rooms located inside the tower for each team. I can show them to you right now if you want. Naruto nodded. My teammates will follow you to the rooms. However, I have some information that is extremely important. It concerns a traitor snake. The Junin's eyes widened. He barked out orders to 2 Chunins. Katetsu, show Team 7 to an empty room. Azumo, take the 3 unconscious Genins to the hospital. Both Chunins nodded and set off to do their tasks. The Junin signaled Naruto to follow him. Excuse me, but what is your name? Naruto asked. Asuma Sarutobi, the Junin said. Asuma-san, I heard you say our team as if it was famous. Why is that? Naruto asked. Asuma grinned. You first gained attention by passing Anko's test. Anko has no idea of the meaning to hold back. When we were told that you had to capture her for 30 seconds, everyone expected you to lose. However, when we got word of how you passed her test, we all became interested in Team 7. Next was the Wave Mission. When the Junins heard the mission report of Wave Missions, there were many that advised the Hokage to draft your team directly into the Anbu. When we saw the heads of Yazu, Aoi, and Katsu, support for you being drafted increased. 2A rank nins and an S-class Kagaya are not exactly the heads you would expect from a genin. However, the Hokage refused the drafting, saying it would bring more publicity if you 3 went to the Chunin exam. Many of the council, especially from the civilian council, said that Sasuke should be leader of Team 7. However, when reports of you guys doing B ranks flawlessly came in, the Hokage and the Shinobi Council crushed any ideas of trying to mess with Team 7. In short, you 3 have gained a lot of support and admiration. Personally, the new record of catching that damned cat impressed me the most. Naruto blushed and grinned. Well, we had to be good to survive Anko-sensei's training. It was brutal. Asuma chuckled. It can't be that bad. She made us stand on top of 50 feet tall posts, 3 feet in diameter, with 200 pounds on our backs. She then proceeded to summon huge snakes to attack us, throw kunais and shurikens attached with explosive notes, and the occasional fire jutsu at us. All this while balancing an egg on a spoon held in our mouths. Asuma sweat dropped. Thank Kami I ain't him, Asuma thought. Asuma opened a door that led to the Hokage's office. He opened it and spoke. Excuse me Hokage-sama. Naruto here has information about Orochimaru. He says it's important, Asuma said. Send Naruto in, the Hokage said. Asuma nodded. Naruto came in. Hokage-sama. As of right now Orochimaru is in the Fire Country, Naruto announced. What? The Hokage exclaimed. Please calm down. The situation is not as bad as it seems, Naruto said. Yesterday, I came upon Kiba Inazaka fighting a giant snake. I assumed it was a real one when why'd it. However, it disappeared. I knew there are only 2 summoners of the snake contract alive in the world. Anko had no reason to interfere with the exams, so I guessed it was Orochimaru. After Kiba showed me to his team, Orochimaru had finished toying with Sasuke. I fought him and managed to wound him badly, Naruto said. How badly? His left shoulder had a hole the size of a fist, Naruto replied. The Hokage smirked pleased. Please continue Naruto. Well, after I had put a hole in his shoulder, Orochimaru summoned a large snake to distract me. As wide the snake, Orochimaru implanted a curse seal on Sasuke's neck. After that, I managed to severely burn him with several fireballs before he escaped. Well Naruto, I'm impressed. This information though is very disturbing. He formed a new village and I know has sand as an ally. The question is why, Hokage-sama? I believe it is for an invasion. The Hokage blinked. You're joking. Unfortunately no. In the first exam, there was a genin that knew way too much about our forces. Before that I met with a Jinchuriki, named Gaara. Gaara is a highly unstable person, likely to anybody if he has the slightest feeling of bloodlust. Why would an ally send such an unstable ninja without warning? The Hokage nodded. It was good observations and conclusions. It didn't help to have the village on guard just in case. Good work Naruto. Now take the next 3 days to rest. In the meantime, if you say anything important to tell me personally. Hi, Hokage-sama. Naruto bowed and left the office. The Hokage called for one of the Anbu. An Anbu with a cat mask appeared. You called Hokage-sama. Naruto and his team waited patiently for the start of the next exam. They used their time by discussing strategy, joking with Kiba, and talking with some of the Junins. They also explored the tower. Naruto was ecstatic when they found the cafeteria and was told everything was free. Shino, Shikamaru, and Kiba were watching Naruto with awe. Naruto was steadily eating bowl after bowl of ramen. They watched as the bowls stacked higher and higher. Soon there were several stacks of bowls, each of them 2 feet tall. Naruto burped and leaned back on his chair. Phew. I haven't had ramen in such a long time. That was good, Naruto said. He looked at his friends and sweat dropped at their reaction. What? Shikamaru laid his head on the table muttering. Don't say anything about the impossible. It's too troublesome. As the day went by, Naruto only saw a few teams. When the end of the exam finally came, Naruto saw only Team 8, Lee's team, Kabuto's team, the Sand team, a Rain team, and Team 10. He learned that Sasuke and Sakura were fully healed while a Rain nin died from his injuries in the forest. Naruto went to talk with Lee's teammate. She had brown hair arranged into buns and wore Chinese-style clothes. Excuse, I want to ask if you saw any others on their way here, Naruto asked. The girl shook her head. I doubt it. As we were on our way here, we ran into an area full of traps. It was thanks to Neji's Byakugan that we didn't set any of them off. I saw some unfortunate genins littered all over the place, injured and dead. Naruto sighed. This meant that all the teams here were the strongest in the competition. He better put more restrictions so he could have a better challenge. The girl watched as Naruto made hand seals and tapped his torso, legs and arms. She felt a ripple in the floor as if some giant weight crashed onto the ground. Hey, what did you just do? I doubt if it's any of your business, miss. Tenten. And your name? Naruto Uzumaki. I hope we meet in the exams. Tenten nodded as she watched Naruto walk away. Strange guy, but he's so cute. Tenten thought. A Chunin went to gather the genins for the final exam. He led them to an arena with a balcony. A large screen was above a statue of two hands in a hand seal. Standing at the foot of the statue were the Junin senseis of the competing teams along with the Hokage. While most of them stood immobile and emotionless, Anko grinned widely when she saw Team 7. Hey guys, how long did it take you? She shouted. 2 days, Naruto shouted back. 2 days? There's still room to improve, brat. Anko shouted. The Hokage cleared his throat. The second exam is now finished. Now the third exam is a combat test to see your battle skills as an individual. Gecko Hayate will explain the rules. Gecko jumped in the arena. Hello, my name is Gecko. This exam is mainly to see your battle skills as an individual. However, we have too many people to compete in the third exam, so we will have preliminary matches to choose who will take the third test in public. The matches will be chosen by random. The names will come up on the screen. The screen began to shuffle between names and stop on 2. Shino Aburame and Amagumo Unkai. Please come down to the ring, Gecko announced. Shino jumped into the arena and analyzed his opponent. His opponent was a rain nin. The ninja was dressed in a thick woolen damp coat. Shino smirked. The first match between Shino Aburame and Amagumo Unkai begin. Gecko announced. Amagumo immediately jumped away as Shino's chain slammed into the floor where he was standing just moments ago. The chain broke the tile and caused shards of stone to fly. Amagumo's eyes widened. Shit, I have to avoid that chain. If it hits me, I'm done, Amagumo thought. Amagumo dodged Shino's chain. Each time the chain missed nearer and nearer. Amagumo quickly made hand seals. Sweden. Hidden mist. Shino smirked. Naruto used a worse version of this jutsu all the time. Shino sent his bugs to search Amagumo out. Amagumo used the mist to take a needed rest. As he tried to catch his breath, small bugs began to land on him. Amagumo didn't notice since one bug did not much chakra by itself. However, a swarm soon gathered on Amagumo. Amagumo noticed the swarm too late and he blacked out from chakra depletion. The mist cleared up to reveal Shino standing calmly, watching his bugs feast upon the rain nin's chakra. The winner of the first match is Shino Aburame. Shino calmly walked up to the balcony ignoring questions about how did he win. He went to his team, Sensei, and Kiba and stood alongside them. Shikamaru was on the floor with his eyes closed. Let me guess, you tired him out with your chain and let him use the hidden mist jutsu, Naruto asked. Shino nodded. Then while he used the mist as cover to rest, you sent your bugs to drain him of his chakra, Shikamaru drawled out. Shino nodded again. Naruto grinned. Good job. You didn't show any other abilities you wouldn't expect from an Aburame aside from the chain. Anko smirked. So brat, what happened in the forest? Tell you after the prelims, Anko-sensei, Naruto said. Anyway, want some sake and dango? Naruto pulled out a container of dango and a bottle of sake. Anko's eyes lit up. Gimme that. Anko snatched the container of dango and began eating. Naruto set the bottle of sake near Anko and pulled out his own bottle of wave sake. He sipped some and looked down, eager to watch the next match. Shino gave a small smile and leaned on the railing to watch the next match. The second match between Choji Akamichi and Haruno Sakura will begin. The match was pathetic as Choji morphed into a boulder and ran over her. Most of the ninja's sweat dropped on how weak Sakura was. How the hell did she survive the forest? Everyone thought. Gecko cleared his throat. The winner of the second match is Choji Akamichi. Choji gave a huge smile and ran up the balcony to his sensei. After a quick conversation with his team, he went over to Team 7 and Kiba. He sat by Shikamaru and began eating. Hey Shika, how've you been? I haven't seen you in several months, Choji said. Shikamaru cracked one eye open and smiled. It's good to see you, Choji. I've been really busy. As Shikamaru and Choji talked, Naruto, Anko, Shino, and Kiba looked down to watch the next match. Sasuke was fighting against Yoroi. Author's note. I'm not going to type it out because you can see it on YouTube or read it at one manga. Kakashi helped Sasuke up the stairs to the balcony. Naruto saw Lee's expression and growled at Sasuke. I hate that damned bloodline. While everyone here works his or her off to become stronger, that prick can just copy their hard-earned work for himself, Naruto spat. Naruto clenched the railing. Kiba winced as he heard the rail groan loudly against Naruto. Anko put a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Calm down, Naruto. Though I admit that Sasuke is one of the top competitors, he's much weaker than you, Shino, or Shikamaru. All of you guys earned your strength with hard work and it infuriates him, Anko said soothingly. Naruto calmed down a bit. He relaxed his hand and put it in his pocket. Kiba's eyes widened as he saw the iron rail crushed. You're right, Anko-sensei, Naruto said quietly. That's right, Anko said proudly. Naruto smiled at Anko's attitude and looked down to see Ino and Tenten fight. The match was soon over as Tenten's weapons exhausted Ino. The winner of the third match, Tenten. Naruto looked up as the screen shuffled through name. Naruto smirked at the upcoming match. Oi Shika, it's your turn, Naruto said. Shikamaru looked up from his conversation with Choji to see his name and Kankuro. Well, let's get this over with. Shikamaru jumped down into the arena. He analyzed Kankuro. He noticed the bundle on his back and smirked. Thanked Kami Naruto made him read those ninja culture books. The fourth match shall begin. Shikamaru made several hand seals. Ninpu. Shadow imitation. Shikamaru's shadow began to lengthen. Kankuro moved to avoid it. He landed against the wall. Your puppet can't run all the time, Kankuro. Give up already. Shikamaru called out. Kankuro smirked. His face began to crack and fall into pieces, revealing a puppet's face. Two extra arms popped out from the clothes. The bundle on the puppet's back revealed the real Kankuro. Kankuro smirked and wiggled his fingers. The puppet launched several kunais and a gas bomb. Ninpu. Void step. Shikamaru melted in his shadow. The gas bomb exploded, obscuring everyone's view. When the gas dissipated, there was no sign of Shikamaru. Kankuro jumped down on the arena floor, wondering where Shikamaru was. Shikamaru rose up from Kankuro's shadow. He made several hand signs. Ninpu. Shadow summoning. Kankuro froze and couldn't move. Then several ropes of shadow wrapped around his limbs, making Kankuro into a puppet. Shikamaru smirked. Isn't this ironic? The puppeteer is now a puppet. Now give up before I make your puppet you. Kankuro gulped. I forfeit. The winner of the fourth match is Shikamaru Nara. Shikamaru grinned and cancelled his jutsus. Kankuro landed on the ground like a disconnected puppet. Shikamaru walked up the balcony and to his team. Hey Shika, when did you learn that jutsu? Naruto asked. Training with my dad. I created it when I accidentally made a wrong hand seal for another jutsu, Shikamaru admitted. Well, good job anyway. I do agree with you on the irony, Naruto said. He chuckled a bit. Kiba gave Shikamaru a smile and a thumbs up. Anko caught Shika in a headlock and gave him a noogie. Itai you broad. Shikamaru yelped. Anko scowled and gave him a punch in the head. Itai. Shikamaru rubbed his sore head and went to sit by Choji. Good job, Shika, Choji said. Shikamaru smiled and lay down to sleep. Naruto looked at Kiba when the next names appeared. Kiba whooped in excitement. Kiba jumped down. One of Kabuto's teammates smirked. The match between Kiba Inazaka and Tsurugi Masumi shall begin. Before Kiba could react, Tsurugi had him in a grappling move. Give up before I break your neck, Tsurugi whispered. Akamaru bit Tsurugi in the throat, causing Tsurugi to loosen his hold on Kiba. Kiba smirked and began spinning rapidly. He jumped up and literally sliced the genin up. Kiba then jumped back. Tsurugi began to throw kunais at Kiba. Akamaru jumped out from Kiba's coat and on his back. Kiba crouched and made a handseal. Ninpu. Beast human clone. Akamaru turned into an exact copy of Kiba. Ninpu. 4 legs. Kiba's fangs began to lengthen and his nails became claws. Both Kibas charged Tsurugi, running like a dog. Tsurugi began to throw kunais attached with explosive notes. Both Kibas jumped into the air and began to spin rapidly. Double piercing fang. Tsurugi was torn apart by Kiba and Akamaru. His body was stretched out and tangled by the force of Kiba's attack. The winner of the 5th match is Kiba Inazaka. All right, Kiba, Naruto shouted. Kiba looked up to see Naruto waving at him smiling. Did you see that, Naruto Taicho? I tore him apart, Kiba shouted excitedly. Naruto smiled. Yeah, I did. Now get your UP here. Akamaru jumped inside Kiba's shirt. Kiba then ran excitedly up the stairs, ignoring Kakashi's congratulations. Kakashi watched in sadness as Kiba was congratulated by Anko and Team 7 as if he was one of their own. The screen began to shuffle. It stopped on 2 names. Hinata began to sweat. She walked down to the arena to face Neji. The 6th match between Neji and Hinata, begin. Hinata-sama, you don't make a good shinobi. Forfeit now, Neji said. Hinata flinched at Neji's harsh words. You are too kind and wish for peace. You are too weak to argue against others. Hinata looked down at Neji's words. You have no confidence in yourself but chose to take it for your teammates, Neji said. No, I wanted to take it to see if I changed, Hinata whispered. You cannot change. Weaklings will always be weaklings. Because people cannot change, differences appear. Losers and winners. Looks, brains, personality, and ability are the elements people discriminate for. Naruto glared as Neji's speech became harsher and harsher. Hinata was on the verge of crying. That's enough, Naruto bellowed. Hinata looked up at him. Hinata, everybody changes. Our experiences mold us to who we are. Our choices shape us into the weakest cowards or the strongest heroes. Stand up for yourself and show Neji that you can be a ninja. Show Neji that you are a ninja of the leaf. Show Neji that you are Hinata, proud ninja of the leaf. Naruto shouted. Shino, Shikamaru, Anko, Kiba, and Choji shouted their support for Hinata. Kick Hishinata. You can do it. Hinata stood up straight and tall for the first time in years. She looked straight at Neji's cold glare. I will not quit. I will stand up for myself and will fight for what I believe in, Hinata said in a clear voice. So you won't forfeit, Neji said coolly. I am not responsible for what happens to you for what happens. Both of them slipped into gentle fist stance. Byakugan. The veins around their eyes bulged. Hinata attacked with a palm thrust. Neji blocked and countered. Hinata ducked and struck low. Neji blocked it and followed up with a thrust. Hinata dodged and hit Neji squarely in the chest with a palm thrust. Neji stumbled back as Hinata's attack became even fiercer. Neji was backing away as Hinata's strikes forced him to defend. Hinata thrust her palm at Neji. Neji batted it away and struck Hinata squarely in the chest. Hinata coughed blood as Neji's chakra damaged her heart. Neji gave Hinata a contemptuous glance and shoved her on the floor. Hinata, get up, you can beat him. The support Naruto gave her back on her feet again, encouraged Hinata. She charged Neji again with a barrage of palm thrusts that was fiercer than the last. However, Neji dodged it and brutally hit Hinata in the chin. She fell down again. Neji glared at Hinata. Stop fighting. You have always hated yourself for your weakness. There is no reason to suffer anymore. Hinata stood up and looked at Neji straight in the eye. Brother, it is not only me that is suffering for my weakness. You are also suffering for the destiny of the clan branch of the Hyugas and your feeling of weakness against the Hyuga tradition. Neji charged Hinata with all intents oving her. He was restrained by Naruto holding his katana at Neji's throat. Anko, Guy, Kakashi, and Gekko were restraining Neji. Neji, you promised that you wouldn't bring family affairs into the exam, Guy reprimanded. Hinata fell over and began to cough out blood. Hinata. Naruto ran over to her and cradled her head. Hinata, hang on. You'll be alright. Just hang on, Naruto said. Hinata looked at Naruto and smiled. Thank you, Naruto. Your words have made me happier and made my life worth living, Hinata whispered. She closed her eyes. Naruto thought she died, but he heard ragged breathing. 2 medics came and hurriedly brought her to the emergency room. You there, Naruto? Naruto turned to see Neji smirking at him. Losers are born losers, and will always be losers. You are one of them, Neji said coldly. Naruto disappeared. Neji shuddered and felt a sword pierce him through the back and enter out the front. Neji looked down to see his blood glistening on Naruto's blade. Everyone was shocked at Naruto's actions. Shino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba were stnned that Naruto would murder someone in plain sight. Neji, next time you piss me off, I'll do more than stab you, Naruto whispered in his ear. Naruto removed his sword from Neji's body and wiped it with Neji's shirt. Neji. Lee's team went by his side. A medic went over to help Neji. Tenten glared at Naruto. Don't worry, my blade did not pierce any of his vitals. He'll be fine, Naruto said unconcerned. He sat on the floor and began to clean and polish his knife. He's right, the medic announced. The sword only pierced his skin and cut several veins and minor muscles. He'll be fine. Everyone breathed a sign of relief that Naruto had done less damage than a couple Senbon wound puncture. The medic carried Neji on a stretcher onto the hospital. Gekko cleared his throat. The winner is Neji Hyuga. The computer screen showed the next 2 names. Kabuto smirked and jumped down. The 7th match between Naruto Uzumaki and Kabuto will begin. Kabuto decided to taunt Naruto, who was still cleaning his sword and had his back facing Kabuto. Was it really necessary to stab Neji to make a point, Naruto? Kabuto asked. Yes, Naruto grunted. Why did you support Hinata? Kabuto asked. She reminded me of someone, Naruto said. He took out his sake and took a swig from the bottle. Personally, I think Neji was right. The weak can never be strong. The strong will always defeat the weak. This is how the shinobi world works. A prodigy will never defeated by a weak person. The strong rule and the weak die. This is why Hinata will die, Kabuto said in a matter-of-fact voice. Naruto pulled out his sword sheath. He held his sword sheath in front of him as placed the tip of the sword in it and sheathed a third of the blade. Kabuto, if you're going to fight me, use your best technique on me now, Naruto said. Kabuto grinned. His hands began to glow as Kabuto formed chakra blades around his hands. Chakra scalpels. Kabuto charged. Naruto slowly sheathed the next third of his blade in. Humming 10 feet. Naruto said softly. Kabuto was now 10 feet away from him. Arrow notch strike. Naruto sheathed the rest of his blade. A huge sword slash appeared on the ground and wall. Kabuto froze when a huge jet of blood sprayed out of a huge slash wound on his body. The attack was like a giant katana had been swung. The attack nearly sliced Kabuto's body in half. It cut through his lungs, heart, stomach, and ribs. Needless to say, Kabuto died. Naruto glared at the corpse and walked to the balcony. Nearly everyone looked at him in awe. What is he? Many of the Junins thought. Note to self. Never piss him off, many of the Genins thought. What the hell happened? Anko thought. I wonder if Naruto will teach me that move, Gekko thought. Such devastating kenjutsu, the Hokage thought. I must have his blood. Gaara thought. The winner of the 7th match is Naruto. Naruto stood beside his team, an obviously angry look on his face. Hey Naruto, clam down. You're scaring everyone, Anko said. Naruto looked around and saw the odd and frightened faces of everybody. Naruto's face softened. Sorry you had to see me like this, guys, Naruto whispered in a soft voice. Shino walked up to him and patted him on the back. Everyone has their anger moments, Naruto Taicho. It's all right, Shino said. That's right. We'll always be behind you even if you are a scary super strong swordsman that gropes Haku and fondles Zabuza's crotch, Shikamaru said. That was your fault, Naruto yelled. However, Kiba, Choji, and Anko smiled as Naruto went back to normal. Other people began to chuckle too. The screen went through the remaining names. It stopped on 2. Naruto saw the names and grinned. Gaara smiled maniacally. He disappeared in a swirl of sand and reappeared at the arena. Lee jumped down after shouting for several minutes. He settled into a fighting stance. The 8th match between Gaara and Rock Lee began. Lee charged Gaara. He tried to kick Gaara but some sand that appeared out of Gaara's gourd blocked it. The sand regrouped and slammed into Lee, knocking him back. Sand, Lee thought. Hey Kit, Kyuubi said urgently. Hey, long time no hear, Naruto said. Whatever. Anyway, I know which demon Gaara holds. Which one? Shukaku the Aikibi. He's extremely aggressive as he does anything to prove that he's a tailed beast. While the other demon lords are confident in their strength, Shukaku will do anything to keep his position. He was extremely paranoid before he vanished, Kyuubi said. Lee charged at Gaara again and again, using his fist and feet to try to harm Gaara. Gaara's sand blocked Lee's taijutsu attacks every time. Gaara didn't even move a finger. Why doesn't Lee use ninjutsu? Kiba asked. It's obvious none of his taijutsu attacks are working. I think it's because Lee can't use ninjutsu, Naruto answered. You're right, a voice beside them said. Naruto turned to see Guy and Tenten. Naruto's eyes bulged at the sight of Guy. You. Naruto pointed. Evil monkey style. What did I do? Guy asked. Every time I go to sleep, I hear you shouting in the next apartment. While you sleep, you shout about fountains of youth at the top of your lungs. Naruto ranted. Shino, Anko, Kiba, Shikamaru, Choji, and Tenten's sweat dropped at this information. Guy grinned. But it is good to hear about fountains of youth, is it not, my neighbor? Naruto socked Guy in the mouth with an uppercut. No, it isn't. As Guy was nursing his mouth, the group watched the match with interest. Despite Lee's fierce taijutsu assault, he couldn't reach Gaara. Gaara tried to hit Lee. Lee made several flips back and jumped onto the statue of 2 hands. Lee, take the off, Guy yelled. But Guy-sensei, you told me only when I need to protect my precious people, Lee protested. Guy gave him a thumbs up. Don't worry, I'll allow it this time. Lee smiled. He put a hand under his leg warmers and pulled out weights. Great. I can move normally now, Lee said. He dropped the weights on the ground. Some of the Genins were skeptical of whether weights will help Lee in this match. They were stunned when the weights hit the ground. Boom. Lee vanished from everyone's sight except Naruto's, Guy's, and the Hokage's. Lee attacked Gaara with another taijutsu assault. This time, he landed an axe kick to Gaara's head. Kankuro and Tamiri were stunned. No one had managed to touch Gaara before. Gaara glared at Lee as Lee smirked, eager to fight on a more equal ground. Lee feinted a punch, circled Gaara and slammed his fist into Gaara's face. Gaara was knocked back several feet. "This is bad," Kankuro said. Tamari nodded. Gaara stood up. His face was cracking and pieces fell to reveal a demonic, bloodthirsty expression on his face. "Oh man, Lee's in big trouble," Naruto muttered. "Why?" Choji asked. Apparently Gaara had two shields. One was that strange moving sand that blocked all of Lee's initial attacks. Now this one covers Gaara in a protective sand covering that is extremely hard, but I bet it's chakra draining. Lee looked up at Guy. Guy nodded. Lee smiled and began unwrapping the bandages around his arms. Lee ran around him looking for an opening. Lee found one and leapt at Gaara, landing a powerful kick at Gaara's chin. Gaara was kicked into the air. Lee followed him and kicked Gaara several times. Lee then wrapped the bandages around Gaara and began to spin down rapidly, head first. Lee leapt away before Gaara crashed into the ground, completely winded. Gaara's body was still. "Whoa!" Choji and Kiba exclaimed. Team 7 were nodding in approval at Lee's skill. Guy made a small punch in victory. Lee smiled and looked back at Gaara's body. His eyes widened when Gaara's body crumbled to reveal nothing. It was a shell. Lee turned to see Gaara crouching, his hands in a handseal. A huge torrent of sand flew toward Lee and smashed him against the wall. Several huge streams of sand repeatedly slammed into Lee. Lee barely dodged the next stream of sand. "Hey Guy, how come Lee doesn't dodge Gaara's attack like before?" Naruto asked. "The technique Lee used, the Lotus, is a forbidden technique. The huge amount of speed it requires puts a lot of stress on the body, causing Lee pain after he uses it," Guy said grimly. "Oh man," Naruto groaned. Lee barely dodged several of Gaara's attacks. He concentrated and held his hands up to protect himself. Gaara sent another stream at Lee. This one was too fast for Lee to avoid. "Lee, move!" Naruto roared. Lee dodged it at the last second. Lee stood up as if he was fully healed. "What the hell?" Kiba exclaimed. "He was barely moving a moment ago." Naruto looked at Guy, confused. Guy smiled. "The lotus of the leaf blooms twice," Guy said cryptically. Anko's eyes widened at this phrase. She turned to Guy with an angry expression on her face. "Guy, you didn't teach him that jutsu, did you?" Anko shouted. "I did as a matter of fact," Guy said proudly. "Don't you realize the dangers of that jutsu?" Anko yelled. "What are you talking about, Anko-sensei?" Shino asked. "There is a technique that forcibly opens the body's natural inhibitors, granting an exponential amount of strength. However, the after effects are severe and long-lasting. If you open all 8, a ninja will gain more power than a cage but will definitely die a painful death," Anko explained. She turned to Guy. "How many can he open?" 5, Guy answered proudly. "This match ends here," Lee said to Gaara. Lee closed his eyes and concentrated. Chakra began to waft around Lee in huge amounts. Suddenly an aura of chakra appeared around Lee. Lee's skin turned red and his veins bulged as blood rushed in and out of his muscles and organs at a rapid pace. "Life Gate, open!" Lee yelled. The aura became even stronger as Lee concentrated even more. "Harm Gate, open!" Lee yelled. The aura of chakra around Lee was huge. Everyone was stunned at the amount of power shown through pure hard work. Lee took a step. Immediately a huge shockwave blasted everyone back as Lee's speed was so great that he vanished from everyone's vision. Lee gave Gaara a kick that caused him to fly in the air. Gaara was then battered by a barrage of punches and kicks that ripped his armor off. As Lee went for the final strike, his chakra grew. "Limit Gate, open!" Lee roared. He punched Gaara in the stomach, tugged Gaara back, and punched Gaara in the face. He slammed Gaara with all his force into the ground. A gigantic shockwave blew dust and stones into the air. When everyone could see again, they saw Lee lying on the floor exhausted. Gaara was extremely beaten in a huge crater. Gaara lifted his arm and directed his sand at Lee. Lee tried to move as the sand wrapped around his left arm and leg. Gaara smiled maliciously as the clenched his hand. Desert coffin. Lee screamed in pain as the bones in his arm and leg were crushed to pieces. Gaara sent more sand at Lee to him but was stopped by Guy. Why did you save him? Gaara asked in a tired voice. Because he is my precious student, Guy said. The winner of the 8th match, Gaara. Many genins watched in sadness as Gaara walked away with the victory. They turned to Lee and were shocked. Many of the Junins were stunned. No way, Anko breathed. Lee was standing in a taijutsu stance, even after he opened 5 gates and has a crushed arm and leg. Lee, that's enough, Guy said tearfully. He realized in shock that Lee was unconscious. Guy hugged him. You've proven yourself a great ninja, Guy proclaimed. Naruto began clapping for Lee. Kiba, Choji, and Shikamaru followed his example. Anko and Tenten soon joined. Shino was bawling with tears but applauded Lee's fight. Lee is one of the greatest ninjas I have ever seen. Naruto bellowed. To everyone's shock, Lee turned to where the applause was and smiled. After several medics carried Lee to the hospital, Guy had a somber look on his face. Kakashi jumped down and put a hand on Guy's shoulder. After several soft words, Guy nodded and jumped back to the balcony. Kakashi followed him to the balcony as well. The screen displayed the names of the 2 remaining ninjas. Tamari floated down on her fan while a rain nin jumped down. The final match between Tamari and Unka Kateki will now begin, Gecko announced. The fight was uneventful as Temari sliced her opponent with a wind jutsu. The winner of the final match is Tamari. With this, the preliminaries of the 3rd exam is finished, Gecko announced. Gecko had the winners to gather in the arena. The Hokage was also in the arena. He observed the winners of the preliminaries. 8 leaf genins and 2 sand genins, Hokage thought. I'll now start explaining the final test. The main matches will be seen by everyone. Each of you will fight to represent the strength of your countries. I'd like you to go all out in those matches. Except Naruto, Hokage thought silently. It is for this reason the finals will be held in 1 month. I want you to use this break to train. We add this 1 month break so the various leaders and shinobi along with the daimyos can arrange this event. Now Gecko, bring out the box please, Hokage asked. Gecko stepped forward holding out an ordinary cardboard box. I want you all to pull out a slip of paper and announce the number. 1. Naruto said. 7. Gaara grunted. 9. Shino said. 3. Tamari said. 2. Tenten said, looking at Naruto nervously. She did not want to die. 5. Shikamaru said. 6. Kiba said. 10. Choji said. As each person said their numbers, Gecko wrote them down on a slip of paper. So that leaves Sasuke with 4 and Neji with 8, the Hokage muttered. The numbers you just drew were the match arrangements. Gecko showed them the match arrangements. Match 1. Naruto Uzumaki vs. Tenten. Match 2. Tamari vs. Sasuke Uchiha. Match 3. Shikamaru Nara vs. Kiba Inazaka. Match 4. Neji Hyuga vs. Gaara. Match 5. Shino Aburamevs. Choji Akamichi. The genins had several thoughts on their minds. I'm dead, Tenten thought. She looked over to see Naruto grinning at her. Tenten, don't worry, I won't you, Naruto said. Tenten was a bit relieved at that. Oh man, I'm against one of Team 7, Kiba thought. It's a tournament style, Tamari thought. Troublesome, Shikamaru mumbled. Shino thought. Aw man, I'm going against Shino, Choji thought. Neji Hyuga, Gaara thought. Now everyone is dismissed unless there are any questions, the Hokage said. Since it's a tournament, there will be only one winner. Does that mean the winner will be the only one promoted to Chunin? Shikamaru asked. No. There will be various judges there to judge if a candidate is able to become Chunin. This means everyone has the chance to be Chunin or none at all. An advancement in the tournament just means another chance to impress the judge, the Hokage explained. If there are no questions, everyone is dismissed. Everyone began to exit the tower. Oh, Naruto, could you please wait a moment? The Hokage asked. Naruto waited as everyone left. He waited for the Hokage to speak. Naruto, I want to thank you for Kabuto. Early this morning, I received an anonymous report that Kabuto was a very high-ranking sound nin. It proved the validity of another report that Kabuto was also extremely important to sound. Now, I was planning to Kabuto after the exams, but you have done that for me already. If I had done it after the exams, he could have escaped, carrying secrets of our village. Naruto nodded. The Hokage grinned. I also have a letter that a person that trained you is visiting, Sarutobi. Naruto began sweating and praying. Kami, please not him, Naruto thought. A person named Iankarabu Waijin. Shit. Not him. Anybody except him, Naruto bellowed. He fell at the Hokage's feet and began tugging on his robes. Hokage-sama, please tell me he's not in the village yet, Naruto begged, tears pouring down his face. Shit, Naruto thought as he headed to his apartment. He was so worried that he bumped and shoved through many people. Why did he have to come here? Why, Naruto thought. Hey kid, I suggest you take it like a man and greet him. He'll train you for 1 week and then leave as always, Kyuubi suggested. Do you remember last time he trained me? Do you remember that he shattered every bone in my body, nearly damaged all of my arteries, and purposely hit me there with his club? Naruto bellowed. I see your point, Kyuubi said. Well, it might be good for you to head to the hot springs before he arrives to get yourself relaxed. Yeah, that sounds nice. I haven't had a good soak in the springs for several months, Naruto thought. Naruto went to the hot springs. After paying and changing out of his clothes, he went in the hot springs, enjoying the warmth and soothing waters. Ah, I forgot this feels so good, Naruto said. He was about to close his eyes and sleep when he heard giggling. Naruto became alert as he heard the giggle again. Wait a minute. I know that giggle, Naruto thought. He put on a towel and silently climbed over the fence. He jumped down and grimaced. A big man with long white, spiky hair was crouching down and peeking on the women's side of the hot spring. He giggling perversely and writing furiously in his notebook. Oh Konoha, I love it. Good food, nice people, and girls with huge jugs. Oh, what have we here? A raven-haired beauty with huge knockers. Looks like her name is Haku. Ooh, that's nice, the man muttered. Naruto had enough. He sneaked up on the old man and slammed his fist at the back of his head. The man's head shot forward and broke through the wall. Pervert. Naruto watched in pleasure as the old man's legs thrashed about as the women gave his face a beating. After several minutes of beating, the women left the springs. Naruto watched as the man tugged his head out of the wall. He looked angrily at Naruto, who was laughing on the ground. You brat. You made me lose valuable research, the old man said. You deserve it, Arrow Sennin, after peeking at my girlfriend, Naruto retorted. Which one was your girlfriend? The skinny pink-haired one? Jiraiya asked, interested. Hell no. It was the raven-haired beauty with the huge knockers, Naruto said. Jiraiya broke into tears. I'm so proud of you. You're growing up so fast. Jiraiya sobbed. Naruto's sweat dropped. So what are you doing here, Jiraiya asked. I'm trying to get a little rest before he arrives, Naruto said. Wait, when you mean he, you don't mean? Yes. Him. Shit. Jiraiya said. I got to prepare. I need a whole lot of supplies. I'm heading to my apartment to pick up my supply scroll. You want to come? Naruto asked. I'm pretty sure I have several scrolls that could help you. Jiraiya nodded. Let's hurry, brat. I know several good fortified places we could hide in for 1 week. At least that man never stays in one place for more than a week. Naruto nodded. The two went to Naruto's house. Naruto opened it and ran into the house. He crashed into Haku. The two fell down. Naruto moved so that he was on the bottom while Haku was on top. Naruto-kun. Haku yelled in delight. She kissed Naruto in happiness. Naruto happily complied and the couple made out passionately on the floor for several minutes. Jiraiya was giggling lecherously as he wrote furiously in his notebook. After they stopped to regain their breath, Haku noticed Jiraiya, who was giggling and making several notes. Pervert! Haku screamed. She sent several senbons through his pants. They made several holes but did not hit anything. Jiraiya thanked Kami for that, his divine protection. Naruto-kun, how was the exam? Haku asked, curious. Naruto got up and went to his futon and lied down. Haku snuggled up beside him and listened as Naruto explained what he's been through. Haku listened as Naruto told her of the test in the forest. She was surprised that Orochimaru would be there. She was also surprised when Naruto soundly beat Orochimaru. She was concerned for Kiba when Naruto explained his situation and was happy to learn he passed. Then Naruto told her of the preliminaries. How Shino outmaneuvered his opponent and how Choji crushed Sakura. He also recounted Sasuke's win by a stole jutsu. He told Haku of how Shikamaru defeated the puppeteer and how Tenten defeated Ino with an onslaught of flying weaponry. Naruto told Kiba's match with enthusiasm. He then recounted Neji and Hinata's story. Haku had a tear in her eye when he finished. She also approved of Naruto's action against Neji after his match. She also understood Naruto's feelings when Kabuto taunted him. She began to cry a bit when she heard of Lee's valiant struggle against Gaara. You have gone through a lot in the exams. I never believed that there were such strong people as young as us around us, Haku said softly. Jiraiya nodded in agreement. So much pain and sorrow is a common sight in the shinobi world. Such friendships such as Team 7 and Kiba and Choji were not common and often forged a strong bond in this terrible world. So Naruto, why are you here? Haku asked. Naruto's eyes widened. Oh crap. Ero Sennin, we need to get what we need and leave now. Gotcha, brat. Naruto went into his chest and pulled out a large red scroll. He tossed Jiraiya a smaller red scroll. Jiraiya picked some food that was enough for a week. He also grabbed medical supplies and medicine from the bathroom. Alright. Got everything we needed. Jiraiya said. Naruto nodded and gave Haku a quick kiss and left. Naruto followed Jiraiya as they ran through Konoha. They went deep into the forest and stopped at a clearing hidden by boulders and brush. They set up camp and lit a campfire. Jiraiya summoned several toad warriors to be sentries. Naruto summoned several large ravens as lookouts. When the summons went away, the two relaxed. I'm sure we'll be safe here, Naruto said. Jiraiya chuckled. Don't worry, no one will ever find us. Just as Jiraiya finished saying the phrase, a shadow covered Naruto and Jiraiya. The two turned to see whom shadow belonged to. Their faces froze in an expression of shock and fear. On a tree branch, they saw a shadowy figure. The figure waved at the two shocked men. Well, I didn't think I'd meet you so soon, Naruto and Jiraiya. In the Hokage Tower, the Hokage was relaxing as his clones filled out the paperwork. He was spending his time doing some quality reading. Jiraiya, You are a genius and one of the greatest writers of this time, the Hokage said. He giggled lecherously as he read the next part. The Hokage was interrupted by Naruto and Jiraiya crashing through the window. They fell on the floor and crawled to the Hokage. Please save us, Naruto said, his face is soaked with tears. Help us Sarutobi-sensei. Jiraiya begged. Both of them were tugging at the Hokage's robe desperately. The Hokage looked out the crashed window and saw someone rapidly approaching them. The figure jumped into the office and landed on Jiraiya's and Naruto's back. Kami, have mercy. Jiraiya and Naruto wailed. The Hokage sweat dropped as he examined the Iankarabu Waijin. He was an old man of around 70 years old. He wore a brown and green robe and walked barefoot. He had little hair but had a long beard that reached down to his toes. He was also 2 feet high. Sarutobi might have laughed if it wasn't for the fact that the old man easily carried a kanabo iron club that was 5 feet long, weighed over 150 pounds, and had wicked-looking knobs and spikes adorning the business end. The small man bowed respectfully to the Hokage. Hello Hokage-sama, my name is Iankarabu Waijin, but you can call Jin. I believe you already know my pupil, Naruto, and the pervert that owes me 50,000 yens. Can you believe that he spent it on women, gambling, and sake? Disgraceful. Jin picked up his club, jumped, and slammed it near Jiraiya's skull. The club went through the floor. Jiraiya fainted in fear. Jin-san, please do not damage the building, the Hokage asked politely. I have enough trouble. Just a couple of days ago there was another report of several Junins being caught in a trap by my grandson. This is the 50th time that Konohamaru and his friends doing this. Jin looked down to see Naruto grinning. You're the cause of this, aren't you? Naruto tried to deny it, but Jin saw through his lie. Naruto, you know what this means to you? Jin said sternly. No, not that. Naruto screamed in terror. Punishment. Jin lightly struck Naruto in the head with his hand. Bad Naruto. Aw man, Naruto groaned. The Hokage sweat dropped. This Jin was an extremely unique person. He had an even bigger sweat drop when Jin pulled out a pornographic magazine and began giggling. Ebisu stepped in the room and saw Jin reading the magazine. You, how shameless can you be? Ebisu asked appalled. Shut up. Don't pretend you don't like it, closet pervert, Jin said brazenly. Ebisu marched up and snatched the magazine with a self-righteous attitude. Jin was shocked for a moment. You had better respect your elders, boy. Jin growled. He lifted his kanabo and slammed it into Ebisu's gut. Ebisu flew out of the Hokage tower at breakneck speed. In the hospital, a receptionist was bored and nearly asleep. Nothing exciting happened today, the receptionist said. She closed her eyes and was about to sleep. Bang! The receptionist sat up just in time to see Ebisu's body slam into the wall behind her. Doctor! The receptionist yelled. A doctor came running and examined Ebisu. Kami, we got to get him to the emergency room. He has multiple fractures in every bone in his body and internal bleeding. We haven't had such an injury since Jiraiya peaked on Tsunade. Back in the Hokage tower, Jin was having a little victory dance. Home run. It's a grand slam. And the crowd goes wild. Jin said. He cupped his mouth and imitated applause. The Hokage cleared his throat. Excuse me Jin-san, but I need to finish my paperwork, so could you please do any business you have with Naruto and Jiraiya someplace else? Certainly. Oi, pervert, shrimp, move yo. Jin bellowed. Jiraiya and Naruto jumped back on their feet and jumped out the window. Jin jumped out the window also. The Hokage sighed at the huge mess Jin made. His sweat dropped when he heard Jin's voice and Jiraiya's screams. Where's my money? I'll have it tomorrow. No, not the club. Ow. Help. Murder. Kami. I'll ask again. Where's my money? I promise I'll have it tomorrow. Kaden. Hellflare. Mama help me. Oh Kami the pain. Where's my money? In my scroll. As Jiraiya was admitted into the hospital, Naruto went to visit some of the other patients. He went to the receptionist. Excuse me. Do you know where Neji and Hinata Hyuga as well as Rock Lee are staying? The receptionist looked down to search for the names Naruto asked for. Naruto's sweat dropped when he noticed the dent Ebisu made as well as the bloodstains he left. They will be in room 210, 211, and 212. Thank you. Naruto went to the rooms. He visited Hinata's room first. Hinata was reading a book when she heard a knock on the door. Come in. Naruto walked in and sat in a chair beside her. Hey Hinata, how are you doing? Hinata smiled. Much better. Thank you for asking. Naruto laughed. Well, that's good news. What are you doing here, Naruto? My sensei is being treated in the hospital, so I thought I would visit you to see how you're doing. Thank you, Naruto. I have a question though. What is it? Why did you become a ninja if you're really kind? Naruto asked. Hinata looked out the window for several seconds before she answered. At first it was tradition that stated that I should have some ninja experience. However, as I grew older, I saw the injustices of the main house of the Hyugas against the branch house. I promised to myself to grow into a powerful ninja so I can help heal the long battle between the branch and main house. Such a bold goal for such a shy woman, Naruto said in admiration. Does Neji know? Hinata shook her head. I told no one of my dream except my sensei, Kurenai Yuhei. Naruto nodded. If you want help on accomplishing that dream, you can always ask me to help. I promise. Naruto grinned. Bye Hinata-chan. When Naruto left, Hinata looked out the window, smiling happily at the fact she has a new friend. Neji was staring up at the ceiling. He was thinking about Hinata's words. Was he really tormented by his own weakness? He was interrupted by a knock. May I come in? Neji turned and saw Naruto. What do you want? I want to talk to you, Naruto said. Neji scoffed. Come in. Naruto sat in a chair beside Neji's bed. So when are you getting out? In 3 days, Neji said. Do you know who you're fighting against? Some genin named Gaara. Tenten told me she was fighting you, Neji said. Yeah, I know. Hey Neji, why do you hate Hinata so much? Is it because of the conflict between the main and branch house? Neji glared at Naruto. This does not concern you. Or is it much more personal? Something like your father dying for you, uncle, Naruto asked. How do you know? Neji asked. I have an insider that knows nearly everything the Hokage knows, Naruto said. Neji sighed. You're right. I hate Hinata because she represents everything to the main house. She is too naive, gentle, spoiled, and weak. What if I told you she fights for a united Hyuga clan? She wishes to heal the conflicts between the two houses. This is her dream and you nearly'd her. Naruto said sternly. Neji was slack-jawed in shock. What? You heard me. She also harbors no ill will toward you and wishes for your happiness, Naruto said. Neji looked down in shame, tears coming out of his eyes. Neji, although she has a dream that you also want, she will need help. Go ask her and repair family bonds that should have been healed decades ago, Naruto said gently. Thank you, Naruto, Neji said. Neji slipped out of bed and hurried to Hinata's room. Naruto hummed happily to himself as he went to Lee's room. Naruto saw Lee strapped to a bed. Hi Lee, why are you strapped to a bed? Naruto asked. Lee turned and smiled at Naruto. Oh hi Naruto. I was strapped to a bed after they found me trying to exercise for the 5th time. They told me if I didn't, my arm and leg wouldn't heal. Ah, that explains it. Anyway, are you going to recover? Lee turned sad at Naruto's question. He looked down. It was so unlike the energetic, determined, optimistic Lee he saw at the exam. The doctors said that even if I do recover, I might not be fit to be a ninja anymore, Lee said sadly. Naruto understood why he was so crestfallen now. Lee, don't worry. I'm sure you'll be a ninja soon. Don't worry about what the doctors say. Miracles have happened and I'm pretty sure it'll happen to you. Lee brightened up. You're right, Naruto. I'm sure I'll recover and soon I'll be up and fighting with Guy Sensei. Just then, Maida Guy walked in. Yo, Guy Sensei. Bye. Naruto shouted and ran out of the room. As he walked back, he spotted someone familiar in a hospital room. Naruto recognized her when he took a closer look. It was that sound genin they spared in the forest. Kin was looking out the window, wondering what would happen to her. She had no illusions about what could happen to her but still hoped for the best. She turned when she heard a knock. Come in, she said, thinking it was a nurse. Instead it was the blonde-haired ninja that captured her. Hi, I hope I'm not bothering you, Naruto said politely. Not really, I have nothing to do, she said. Naruto smiled and sat in a chair by her bedside. I want to apologize for your teammates in the forest. It's no problem. I wasn't close to any of them, she said. My name is Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said. He stuck out his hand. The girl smiled and shook his hand. Kin Tsuchi. I used to be from Sound but not anymore, Kin said. Used. It's a rule in Sound that anyone that is weak or cowardly enough to be captured should die. Anyway, there's only one person in Sound that I was friends with, Kin said sadly. That's horrible. It is. It's not big or as kind as your village. Nor the leader is as kind as yours. Our village is small and the leader threatens to eliminate any person that disobeys him. Naruto patted her hand as she began to cry. It's alright. In Konoha we have a different set of rules. We won't let an enemy ninja be tortured unless they refuse to cooperate. We always welcome new ninjas if they are loyal to the village. Kin looked up in hope. Do you think I could join this village? Naruto smiled. I'm sure I can vouch for you. I also have very powerful allies. I'm pretty sure I can persuade the Hokage to let you stay. Kin pulled Naruto into a tight hug. Naruto was surprised by the sudden action. However, he gently rubbed her back as Kin began to cry in relief and thanks. After a while, Kin stopped crying. Naruto smiled. Feel better now? Kin wiped her eyes. Yeah, a lot better. Oi, shrimp. Get yo. Charmin out here pronto. A voice yelled outside the room. Oh shit, have to run. I'll talk to you later. If you want to find me after you get released, here's my address, Naruto said quickly. He wrote it on a scrap piece of paper and shoved it in her hand. Naruto ran out the room and was punched by a dwarf carrying a giant kanabo. You know, in my day, the kids waited for their elders. Not the other way around. When I was a SMALLBOY, I waited for my grandma even if she was yapping and yapping, Jin yelled. Naruto rubbed his sore cheek and rolled his eyes. Did you just roll your eyes at me, son? No, sir. Just WHO do you think you are? Nobody, sir. That's right. Now carry me to the nearest brothel. Kin's sweat dropped as Naruto was forced to carry Jin and run through the hospital with Jin occasionally rapping Naruto's leg with a stick. Meanwhile, outside her window, Jiraiya was making several notes in his notebook. He was giggling perversely. That boy is an inspiration. I have to follow him, Jiraiya whispered. He jumped off the wall and went to observe Naruto. The next week with Jin was hell on earth. Naruto was forced through several days of Jin's training. He was forced to carry Jin all day with his gravity seal at 9x. He was also forced to run several miles non-stop with Jin holding a bow and an arrow dipped in acid. Sparring with Jin was the worst because Jin was fast as well as strong. He wielded his huge weapon like a twig. Jin's small size made him a nearly impossible target because he was always jumping and running around. Naruto was thankful of Kyuubi's extremely fast healing and stamina. Each strike with the club was like 3 exploding notes going off simultaneously. However, Naruto was able to get much stronger in 1 week than all of his training with Anko and Zabuza. Jin was also fun to be around. He was a grumpy, smartass, loud, old pervert. He would often peek along with Jiraiya and sit outside underwear stores catcalling the ladies inside. Anko was one of the ladies Jin catcalled once. She got into an argument with him. During this argument, there were a lot of words and phrases that surprised many of the Junins. After a week, Naruto was at the front gate with Jin. "Well, Naruto, so long. Make sure you don't slack off or I'll come back to whip you back into shape. Is that clear?" "Yes, sir." "Good." Jin turned to leave. "Oh, Naruto." "Yes, sir." Naruto asked. Jin slammed his club into Naruto's abdomen. Naruto flew all the way to the Hokage Tower. Jin watched as Naruto created a new hole in the Hokage Tower. Yes. And the dwarves win the Intervillage Championships over the Maelstorms. Naruto went to his apartment for the first time in a week for a much-needed rest. As he was outside his door, he saw Jiraiya outside the door giggling and making several notes. Naruto opened the door and was immediately punctured by ice and steel bonds. One of them hit a pressure point that knocked him out. When Naruto woke up, he saw Haku and Kin kneeling at either side of him. They were glaring at each other. Haku and Kin were holding one hand each. "Oh, where am I?" Naruto groaned. "You're awake, Naruto-kun," Haku said happily. She hugged him. Naruto hugged back tightly. "Hey Kin, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked. "I needed a place to stay after the hospital released me a couple of days ago. I came here to ask if I could stay with you until I had your own place," Kin replied. Naruto scratched the back of his head. "Oh, well, does Zabuza still live with us, Haku?" Haku nodded. Naruto groaned. He would have thought that Zabuza would move out now. An idea struck him. "You could be roommates with Haku, Kin," Naruto proposed. "With her?" Haku and Kin exclaimed. Naruto shrugged. "Please, girls. This is only temporary. Just learn how to live together, please." Haku and Kin sighed. "Fine. That's great. Haku, tonight I'll cook," Naruto said happily. Outside the apartment, Zabuza was discovering the glories of Ika Ika Paradise, thanks to Jiraiya. He was giggling perversely as he walked around Konoha in an aimless manner. He bumped into an ardent Ika Ika hater. "Zabuza, please tell me that isn't Ika Ika." Zabuza took his eyes off the book to realize he was talking to Anko. Anko was twirling a knife and had a more sadistic look on her face than normal. He began to sweat. "Zabuza, I'm waiting." Shit. Back in the apartment, Naruto had arranged Haku's room so that Kin had her own area. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. The apartment was getting crowded. There were 4 people inside a 2-bedroom apartment. Naruto gave Kin some money to get clothes for herself. Kin was delighted and dragged Naruto down to pick new clothes. Naruto didn't say much, but he did suggest on a more useful ninja clothes. She picked out long pants with plenty of pockets, a turtleneck sweater with no sleeves and bracers on her arms. She also got more clothes like nightdresses and bras that embarrassed Naruto. When Naruto got back, he saw Zabuza on his futon being treated by Haku. He had multiple cuts, snakebite wounds, and burns. He had an orange book in his hand and was whispering, "No more snakes. No more snakes." "Zabuza, did you meet Anko-sensei while reading that book?" Zabuza nodded. Naruto sighed. "Zabuza, you never read that book in public. Only Kakashi does that because he's done it for such a long time that no one notices." "Wish you told me that sooner, brat," Zabuza said weakly. Naruto grinned and went to the kitchen to cook dinner. He picked some chicken and rice and made a big dish of oyakodon donburi, a chicken and rice dish. He also made some miso soup and stir-fried vegetables. Hey Kin, can you set the table? Naruto asked. Kin nodded and placed 4 bowls and 4 pairs of chopsticks on the dinner table. Naruto placed the oyakodon donburi in a big bowl and the vegetables and soup in smaller bowls. Dinner time. Naruto called out cheerfully. Haku and Zabuza came over. They ate out mostly when Naruto did not cook since neither of them was as good as cooking as Naruto. This smells great, Naruto-kun. Haku said. It really does, Zabuza said, eagerly picking up a bowl. Knock knock knock. Hey Kin, can you get the door? Kin nodded and opened the door. Flooded with happiness I cry tears of pearls. The hermit of the legendary Sanin. The toad demon of the mysterious Myuboku mountain. The great Jiraiyaah. Kin slammed the door quickly. Naruto. Did you put something in the food? Nah. That's just Ero Sennin. Let him in, Naruto said. Haku humped and continued to eat. Jiraiya bounded into the room. Hey bratwa. Hey, that smells good. Bowls are in the cabinet, chopsticks in the drawer under it, and some sake is in the pantry, Naruto said. Jiraiya nodded and got a bowl, chopsticks, and sake. He helped himself to some food and began eating. Man brat, I might hate you for not being a super pervert after a year with me, but you make damn good food, Jiraiya said. Zabuza, Kin, and Haku nodded. After dinner, Haku and Zabuza began to clean up the table. Kin helped wash the dinner as Jiraiya and Naruto talked. Hey Ero-sensei, why did you come here? Naruto asked. Jiraiya took a swig of sake before speaking. Well, the Hokage wanted me to watch over this genin called Gaara. Can you tell me anything about him? Gaara, Kin asked. Jiraiya and Naruto turned to her. Gaara is the Jinchuriki and is a key part in the upcoming invasion of Konoha by Sand and Sound. What? Jiraiya exclaimed.